or you like to do the avatar?
Oh, I don't know no webcam. Welcome to Bunto Silent Dogfight, episode number 8. Tommy Hall. Our special guest tonight is Tommy Hall, and our usual procedure. We'll open up the participants after the interview. Thanks, Tommy Hall. This is the first time that we've actually met and have spoken to each other. Let me give you a quick background on him. He lives in the DFW area and is a native Texan. He's a family man. A regular church attendee. He's been in the G Plus community for about a year now, gaining an upward trajectory as far as reputation. Tommy, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. I appreciate you, Bunto. It's good to be here.
Tommy, could you just quickly give me a nutshell on the basis of your faith? Just stories. I'd really like to know.
Well, I don't know. Here, I guess I'll go back to the beginning of when I grew up, and my parents were, if you can picture Edith Bunker, they were very Christ-like in the way they conducted themselves, and very, very sweet, and
right.
very but they weren't evangelical. They didn't. We went to a Methodist church, and the Methodist church that we went to, they were kind of like, they weren't Baptist. I go to a Baptist church now, and it's all about the blood of Jesus, and it's all about being saved, and it's all about, repenting of your sins, and that kind of thing. But the Methodist church it was more about, I went there as a kid, and they had us coloring, color books, and they had us learning about, Noah and,
the Bible stories.
The Bible stories, but they weren't, it was kind of a different thing. So I didn't really have the sort of, I wasn't really raised. I was raised in a Christian household, but it wasn't really, the actual faith was not really quite there. It was more like, yes, we believe in God, amen, say grace, that's it.
Okay, but now in your life, you are very fervently.
Yeah. And I'll just say, like, when I was 9 was really the first time I really thought about it. When you're a kid, I had a best friend on my street, and we used to play outside, like 9-year-olds do. And we'd play outside baseball, and usually at the end of a long day, we'd just, like, hang out on the grass or in the clover looking up at the sky. I can remember this one specific time in the evening. We're looking up at the sky, and he's like, do you believe in God? And I was like, yeah, but, and I said, do you believe in God? And he's like, yeah, of course. And I was thinking, that was kind of a foretelling thing, because even as 9-year-olds, looking up at the sky made us think about the important questions. And it was very foretelling, I think, of where I was going to go. And, I think even as I look back at that relationship, and it was, there's something charming about friends when you're 9. But, there's something about, even a 9-year-old can comprehend that there's something about the universe that's incredible. The tides roll in, tides roll out, your heart beats, all the blood gets circulated to different parts of your body. All the laws of physics sort of line up. The Earth, goes around the sun like it should, and keeps everybody warm. And
you had a sense of
the
wonder.
Trees bloom. Yeah. And so I've always had that, and I've always believed in God. But there was always a little bit of an emptiness, because I never had a relationship with God as a kid. I never prayed, and that rang true really my whole life. And
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're not like some Christians who, a sordid life before they, see the God light. You always were in the God, concept.
If you would have asked me, I would have said I was a Christian.
Right.
That I believed in God. But there was, how can you be a Christian though if you don't pray? So,
I see. Very good.
I've said this before, but when I went to church when I was a little older, I would be in Sunday school, or I'd be in church, and people around me would be praying, and I'd be, there with my eyes open, thinking, what are you doing? You're looking silly. When I prayed, it seemed like I was talking to myself.
Okay.
And so it was just odd to me that, what is this? What am I missing? I never got it, And so that's
Okay, what was
really
the game
where I
changer?
was. That's really where I was my whole life until, things changed.
What was the game changer?
Uh,
The kid asking you?
no. That was just kind of representative of how I felt. I was like, yeah, I believe in God, but the word "but" is in there. So that's a big word. I believe in God, but the game changer for me really was
Started reading the Bible.
no. Mm-mm.
Your wife was a Christian. She made you a Christian.
No, she was a Christian, but if you, let's just go ahead and go back to the original or the beginning of the story, which is I came down with a disease.
Oh.
It wasn't a fatal disease, and it's kind of an embarrassing disease, sort of just simply because of the location, but it was called prostatitis.
Oh yeah.
And it's a man's disease. Obviously, we have prostates, but it's an inflammation of the prostate.
Yes.
And so I got this thing, and it feels, if you can imagine a hot fire poker up there in that most personal of areas. That's what it felt like.
And you were a young man.
And I was in my probably in my early 30s.
Oh, early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I this thing hit me out of the blue, and this is actually something young people get, which is weird.
Yes.
But it hit me hard. I went to the emergency room. It felt like I was having an appendicitis attack. It was horrible pain. They finally decided it was not appendicitis, and went doctor after doctor. They ended up putting me on antibiotics. It was not a bacterial infection. Why they did that, I don't know. But I was on 6 months of antibiotics. It didn't work. I kept going doctor to doctor. I mean, I was living in utter dire pain.
Right.
And so the Cliff Notes version of to getting to the point is that I was searching everywhere on the internet for an answer. I finally ran across a guy who had a little ebook. He was like, "How to Cure Prostatitis." I don't know if it's still there or not, but a long time ago it was available. And he's like, that it basically involved eliminating the sugars, eliminating the carbs, eliminating pretty much anything that causes inflammation. It's an inflammatory condition. And I was like, well, heck, man, I have nothing to lose. So I got on this. This is after almost a year of just ridiculous pain, just constant. I mean, just killer. And so the I went doctor to doctor, spent a lot of money on this. They were talking about removing my prostate, if you can believe that.
Yeah, well,
doctors. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I got better within just a few days because I radically changed my diet. About that same time, I had a neighbor across the street, an older guy, very dear friend, loved him to death, but he came down with pancreatitis one day, and he, like me, was having incredible pain. They rushed him to the hospital, and we were scared to death, what was wrong with him.
Really wrong, yeah.
The next day, we were like, oh, how's he doing? And his wife was telling us, oh yeah, he's got pancreatitis, and the hospital told him that really the only thing you can do is stop eating. And for some reason, stopping eating and watching what you eat afterwards, but especially the stopping the eating, that really ends the pain. That's the only thing that ends the pain. And I was like, put two and two together, and suddenly I became a conservative, not political.
Okay.
Not political. I became a conservative in that less is more. Okay. And so it seemed like everywhere I looked, less was more. And the whole doctor thing was starting to tick me off because I lived in a long period of time in pain. They didn't tell me this answer. And so anyway, going forward, it really got me into the whole alternative scene as far as
homopathy.
Yeah. So, itis, prostatitis, arthritis, all these are inflammatory diseases, which are rampant in society. We have all kinds of pains and stuff. Anyway, trying to get to the Cliff Notes version again. Basically, what I kind of uncovered was it seemed like a lot of diseases fell into that realm where if you just stopped eating or, seriously cut back your food,
Right.
changing your diet, that these pains and these aches and these horrible conditions would sort of fizzle away, which is what happened to me. Cancer included. Cancer is also an inflammatory disease. So basically what I came to learn is anyone who tried to cure cancer that way in the past was villainized. There was a Dr. Gerson, Dr. Budwig, there was various doctors who tried to cure people with diet and changing things up, restricting your diet, fasting, water fasting, juice fasting. All of these people were villainized, and sometimes, the law came after them.
Interesting, Tommy.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I was just going to follow up with that and say that it seemed like the same thing was happening with Christianity.
Okay.
So
corollary.
I started looking into this because I didn't really care, honestly. My whole life I was like, yeah, I believe in God, it's great. But there was something about this that seemed like, I hate to use the word conspiracy. I would just rather say they all kind of have the same motives.
Sure.
But it seemed to me, no matter where I looked in science, there seemed to be this undercurrent of trying to rip the rug out of Christ and Christianity in society, covered up, ignored. Yeah. So I started looking into it, and I had this draw. I had to know the truth because I don't know why. I think it was probably the Holy Spirit, pulling me that direction.
Okay.
So I started having this real need to find out what was happening, and
a hunger.
Hunger. If it was atheism that was true, if we got here by random processes, I wanted to know. I want to know if I evolved, and I wanted to know, or if I was created through love. I want to know either way.
Okay, so just let me nutshell for our audience. You had this terrible condition in your 30s that set off the God light and your hunger to get closer to God.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. If to shorten it seriously.
Okay, why did you go fundamentalist? I mean, you just had to go fundamentalist, or you happened to wander into fundamentalism?
Well, when you say fundamentalism, what does that mean? I mean,
you don't consider yourself a fundamentalist?
Well, I would consider myself an evangelical. I would say that I have right-wing political leanings.
Okay, Tom, why won't you, what's wrong with fundamentalism?
Nothing. I guess I was just looking for clarification. I guess that just means hardcore Christian, hardcore right. I don't know.
Like in our community, do you think that fundamentalism gets a fair shake, or is it just, ridiculed off the get-go? The great debate.
Yeah. I think, we... Fundies, yeah.
You show up and you say, "Hey, everybody, I'm a fundie." You're going to take it onto here.
Yeah. We're not looked at fondly because, well, let's face it. I mean, I think Jesus is persecuted, so it only makes sense that those who are closest to him or most closely represent his views. Yes, his and very often recite the plan of salvation and are trying to evangelize people, change them.
All right. Well, are you looking to be persecuted here in the community?
No, I wouldn't say that. I will say that I do have and I'm not bragging about it. It's a character flaw, but I do have a tendency to taunt, and it's on the heels of entertainment. There's others on here who I think do the same thing. There's an intellectual component, and there's an entertainment component. There's that component where we want to, we're jousting and intellectually speaking, and then there's this thing that it's kind of like coming home and kicking the dog, back in the old days, that so to say. figuratively speaking, kicking the dog. After a long day of work,
you gotta blow off some steam.
You gotta blow off some steam. Yeah, I guess there's some of that, but you know what it is for me really is when I was unsaved, I believed in God and I didn't really care, honestly. But the thing was, I didn't make a worldview out of being a I say non-Christian. I don't think I was a Christian, but I didn't make a worldview out of it. And it seems like I was astounded when I got to various forums on the internet, and it seemed like the atheists were not just simple unbelievers. It was not just simply a lack of faith. They somehow, so for some reason, have wrapped a whole worldview into a disbelief, which I found, and they defended it, with an incredible vigor.
Okay, Tommy, just a quick one. It's all about worldviews. Yes or no? You believe that it's all about worldviews?
I think it's all about the truth.
Like if you asked me, Bunto, do you got a worldview? And I said no, you'd say, come on, Bunto, tell the truth.
Oh, well, yeah. We do have worldviews. Yeah,
everybody has a worldview.
Oh yeah, I see the world through my view, and I'm biased. I see things a certain way, but I think everybody does. Some will admit it more than others, and we can look at the same evidence and see it a totally different way.
Okay, tell the listening audience, please, what some of the atheist worldviews that you have encountered so far here.
Boy.
Like, me, would you say I'm just like a no-godder? I just tell all my friends, hey, there's no God, there's no God. Is that a worldview, or is it just not substantial enough? Or do I got to be like, going into people, a Christian puts out a video, I got to go to the comment thread and start typing in there, no God, no God. Am I, describe to me what shocked you when you first got here to the Great Debate community.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like what I was saying before. Well, first of all, there seems to be a disdain for Christians.
Okay, if I'm saying
people
Christians
like me
are stupid, yeah. if I'm going around at the Christians comment and saying Christians are stupid, I'm like doing a worldview.
Yeah. Let me see. I lost my train of thought, but I was just surprised.
Okay, surprised.
At the vigor of not believing in something and really trying to deconvert, de-evangelize, Christians. I honestly found that really odd and highly surprising.
Militant.
I still don't understand it. I still don't get it. I still don't understand what the draw is of being hopeless. When the atheist dies, the best case scenario is just that they die, and they are in their coffin, and that's it.
So it's all about getting something, right? Getting something out of life.
Well,
hopelessness. You didn't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand the draw. Like the atheist position. There's no afterlife. There's no salvation. There's
no reward.
There's no reward. There's no. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't understand what is the draw of that position. Why would you fight vigorously for that when it's not? It's certainly not proven that there's no God. I think even the most militant atheist would agree that God is not disproven.
Science?
Yeah, well, science is the study of the world around us.
Right.
But it's not the study of what brought the world or the universe into existence. And it's kind of like if you study the inside of a watch, you can certainly see the hands ticking, you can see all the gears moving. But that doesn't give you an indication of where the watch came from. It's kind of like that with the universe. You can look around and measure things and do experiments and see all the inner workings of the universe, but that doesn't give any indication of where anything came from.
Right. Okay. You look around and you see God.
Mm-hmm.
The atheist looks around and he don't see it. He's blind to God.
Right. Well, I think it I mean, like I say, everything is in harmony.
Right.
I
Everything
see.
makes sense.
I think it takes a God believer to be astounded by nature. There's something about science, and there's something about some of the atheists that I come across that the wonder of nature it's evaporated
Faded.
from themselves.
Evaporated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not impressed. They see
Okay, well, let me ask you
the
this, Tommy. Okay, they lose the wonder of nature and then they fall into perversion. What do you think?
well, I think losing the wonder for nature is an effect of a higher cause. That's just one negative effect
Okay,
of.
like that, like maybe Satan's influence on them.
Uh, it's
They turn their back
darkness.
on God, and then Satan, has a field day on them.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I haven't really cemented my views on Satan yet. But
Oh, okay.
here's
Interesting.
how I look at it. It's kind of like if you had a refrigerator full of food, full of meats and cheeses and stuff, and it was cold in there. And then let's just say you unplugged the refrigerator. After a day or two or a week or a month, that stuff is going to start really smelling bad
Right,
because
rotting.
it's going to start rotting. And I kind of see that as, akin to having
Turn
God
your
in your
back on
life.
God.
God is I think when you do away with love and you do away with the truth, that's kind of like taking the electricity of the cord out of the wall. And so, you can have bad things creeping in. Maybe things start smelling a little bit. Your
Bacteria.
relationships are bad. You start smacking your wife around. Yeah, I think
You turn your
some of
back on God. You start.
the joy of life is diminished. I think it can be.
Right. Okay. The quality of life goes down when you turn your back on God.
I believe so. I
And
mean,
then you come here knowing that, and you see all these atheists shooting their mouth off, saying, "Hey, there's no God,"
hmm
and science proves
well,
that. And then you're like,
it's
"Well,
not so much that it's not so much saying that there's no God. You know what it is for me?
tell me."
It's the know-it-all mentality. It's someone who acts like they know it all, or that science knows it all, and that really irritates me.
Okay.
That really irritates me because I know
These
dang
guys
well.
lay a claim to science, and that bugs you.
That bugs me because my I'm going to step in it here a little bit, but I think going back to my conservatism, not politics, but I think intellectualism is overrated, and
Okay.
I think scientism is overrated. I
Scientism.
think I think scientism is overrated. I think thinking too hard is overrated. I think God is not terribly impressed with intellectuals.
Okay.
I think he's more interested in holiness than he is in how smart you are, and he's interested in you having a relationship with
Right.
him, and
How
not
closely you
necessarily.
align yourself with His will matters more than how smart you are.
Right. Well, yeah, just like your relationship with your wife, if you're married, she doesn't care how smart you are. She wants you for you. She wants a relationship with you. She wants you to love
Fidelity.
her. Yeah. There's more to life than being smart, putting your nose in a book, and not only that, but I think science has a tendency to people who are really into science, and I'm kind of speaking to myself
Sure.
too, so I'm kind of being hypocritical because I read about it every day. But it has a tendency to the stereotypical cartoon of a scientist back when you were a kid. It showed the guy
Lab
in
coat,
the lab coat and he's goofy
glasses.
and he's like he's kind of a kook. I think scientists can be like that in real life. I think there's something to that stereotype because they put their nose in the book and they're reading about this and reading about that and they miss all that beautiful stuff out there. They miss the forest because their nose is stuck in the tree. And they learn all about this cricket, for example, or the cricket legs or cricket genes or
Genes.
yeah, cricket molecules.
Evolution.
They've thrown the whole beauty of life out the window, and they no longer study life. They no longer study nature. They study genes and they study molecules and they study cells and
All right, Tommy.
they
Let's
look at
leave
all
that
this
there.
stuff. Yeah.
You got a point there, all right? They are
Mm-hmm.
specialized individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and you get here to the big community, you know, like a year ago. What would you have told yourself a year ago that, hey, there's militant atheists who claim, you know, scientifically there's no God. You
Mm-hmm.
got to, you know, start tearing that down, taking it down as a good Christian.
Uh,
Because
you
you go into
know,
Nadia hangouts and then you start laying down your position, telling people how it is, right?
yeah. See, I can hang with people with evolution, I think, and to probably a lesser degree, the God debate. Um, but one thing I screwed up with or on when I became a Christian, I thought I could learn a lot about evolution, a lot about the world around me, a lot about science, and convince people that,
Okay.
no, look, evolution is false. And I just thought in my mind, I can be an idiot, but I thought I could convince them with my, you know, persuasive talents, but it didn't work out. And I was just, shocked that what in my mind were very reasonable, rational, convincing arguments didn't work. And
Didn't work on
so
these guys.
didn't work. The evidence, what do you call that? Evidentialism? I don't know the big word.
That me neither.
Yeah, well, when you try to argue with evidence, whatever
All
that
right, so
is.
you went to a Nadia hangout right off the bat, or you did a couple of
Oh,
other hangouts, or what?
oh God, my first ones, I don't remember. It's been a year ago. But yeah,
They're
I
like
go in
yours.
and out of Nadia's. Hmm.
Okay, you go into Nadia's hangout, and then you start laying down your position. Uh, what would you tell these guys?
Well, when I first looked into all this, the thing that really irritated me was, and I never thought of it, so it just, it's what I come across, is that basically, if you don't believe in God, then you believe nature did it. And nature
Right,
did it is a theory of matter. Basically, you're saying matter did it. Matter had to pop into existence unguided, unplanned, not with no mind. So basically, matter came together to create the solar system and all the laws of physics and consciousness and DNA and all this stuff. It was just kind of a happy accident, or a lot of them. Uh,
right.
and that really irritated me. So in other words, all the genes, all the DNA, all these traits, everything really can be reduced to accidents, and that really, really irritates me to my core.
Okay,
Just
well, what did the Nadians think? What
yeah,
did
go
the
ahead.
Nadians think? Were
What
they
is what?
impressed? Or the Nadians, the followers of
Oh,
Nadia, the Nadians. Were they
well,
impressed, or
not
they get bored with
particularly.
that, or what?
The basic usually their response is, well, it's not happy accidents. It was just some physical, it was caused by some upstream or uphill cause that we don't know of. It doesn't necessarily have to be accidental. The laws of physics, went on and on. So, they kind of avoided the whole accident thing, which I still push, because logically, it's either a happy accident with matter, rocks colliding into each other, or it's
Well, God,
mind based. I think it's mind. It's actually mind versus matter is what it is.
right. Okay, so was it interesting, or did it get boring? I mean, did you win that argument? What?
Uh well, the problem is, as a Christian, generally a creationist, I'm outnumbered. So in any given hangout, I'll have me, and very occasionally another creationist, but it's usually me against 6, 7, 8, 9 other anti-theists.
Right.
So
Did
it's
you acquit
it's
yourself pretty well in the Nadia hangout? Did pretty
did I
good.
what?
Acquit yourself pretty well.
Oh, I think I do okay.
Right.
You know what I think what I do better, at least sometimes, I think I come across as friendly, and I
Okay.
let people talk
You're
generally.
friendly, yet
Yeah,
tons of people have blocked you.
yeah.
Was it because of your views on creationism? I don't think so.
I think I was talking to a guy a while back, and we were talking in private. He was like, there's something about you. He says, you're frighteningly appealing.
Okay.
And so I think,
Charismatic.
I've had that label on me before, frightening. People are frightened by, and I'm not saying that I'm intellectually superior, and that I'm scaring them intellectually. It's more of what I could say, that I could say it with a smile and be persuasive. That my views are so far, fundy, for lack of a better word.
Okay, Tommy, why are
that
these
it
guys
frightens them.
why are these guys blocking you?
Well, I don't know how many are blocking me. Do you have any? I mean, I know of one.
They've
I know
told
of
me
one.
quite a few, because it really wasn't the creationist arguments that got their dander up.
Mm-hmm.
It was more insensitivity towards
Mm-hmm.
someone's sexuality, or an event that happened to them. For example, a rape happened to them during their life, that
Mm-hmm.
you displayed insensitivity towards. Have you
Right.
heard about this?
Yeah. Yeah. I've said some things that I probably shouldn't have said. There was one thing I said a while back that was actually meant for a person in the private chat. It was a rape comment. I said, "What was she wearing?"
Right.
It's probably inappropriate, especially for that particular setting. But I will say, not to come to my own defense, but actually, got off track there. Yeah, I will say that I did go to Nadia.
Right.
In private. Actually, I went back to her hangout that night, and I told her I loved her. I told her, if I hurt her, I was sorry, I didn't mean to. And I did the same thing to Jackie.
Oh, okay. Interesting. What is your position on transsexuals?
Well, I have two competing theories. There are two competing views of it. The first view is that we live in America, and I'm a promoter and a celebrator of freedom. So, these people have their own life to live, and who am I to say what they can do with their lives? I'm not here to make people feel bad. Especially personally, I try to keep the arguments. If anybody's ever noticed, I try to keep the arguments on the topic and not on the person. So if Nadia's going to hang out, or
on the general.
Yeah, I try to keep it general. So I try to not make it personal, although it sometimes, admittedly slips out. But here's the thing, though.
Yes, transsexuals.
Transsexuals. But I have my Christian goggles, my Christian worldview too, and I really don't have a problem with any of that until we come to the issue of the adoption.
Okay,
families. If you're going to adopt kids out to gay people or transsexuals.
Gay people or transsexuals. LGBT.
Yeah. You got the I just think, looking at it from the position of the child, and that's the only position I think is important. I don't think an adult's happiness trumps the well-being of the child. So looking at it from the child's perspective, I think each child who's adopted deserves and requires a mom and a dad, a female and a male. And
anatomically, not so much gender preference.
A man can change himself in every possible way. He could remove his prostate. He could remove all his genitals. He could do all this stuff to become a woman. But I think there's something about being a mom that a man, even a man who transforms himself, can't be.
Okay, the ability to procreate.
Well, I'm talking about being a mom.
Oh, okay. So
I'm just talking about
nurturing a child. A man is unable to do.
Right.
A male is unable to do.
Well, a male can do it in a male way, but I could never be my kid's mom. I can be their dad. I can't be their mom.
Okay.
So,
how did you arrive at this thinking? Through the Bible, or your own personal experience, church, revelation? That
I would just say it seems
gender binary.
It seems inherently obvious to me.
It's obvious.
It seems obvious that obviously two women could raise a child. I'm not saying they couldn't. I'm just saying it's not optimal. And the same with two guys or two transsexuals or whatever.
It's
I'm not
not
saying they
optimal.
couldn't. I'm not saying that they couldn't even do a good job. I'm just saying it's not. It's
Okay, what
not.
are you saying,
It's
Tommy?
not really. It's not really. I don't think it's really God's plan. All else being equal, that a child does not have a mom and a dad. Now, obviously, if one dies, tragedy happens, and it is what it is. But to purposely for society to purposely put kids in a home where there's not a mom and a dad, I don't think is fair. And here's the thing too, which and this gets to the larger issue of hangouts and kind of the fever pitch thing about it. But like Richard Dawkins, he'll say, and others have said, I think it's child abuse for parents to raise their kids
As
to
faith.
be Christian, to not believe in evolution, those kind of comments. They'll say, yeah, it's child abuse, which is insinuating that it should be illegal.
Right.
Yet, if I come on here and I say, why should a child be placed in a home of a transsexual? I wouldn't even have to say it's child abuse. Heaven forbid if I said that. But I'm just saying it's a hypocritical. It's
not fair.
It's not. I mean, I mean, you saw how they flew off the handle at me for saying what I said.
Right.
But their side says it all the time towards. They do the same thing to Christians, or worse. Like I said before, I try to keep the arguments about the topic and not about the person. Yet a lot of times I'll get F you C word, or F you, go F yourself and die.
It goes in a bad way, the conversation.
Whereas I've never said that to anybody.
All right.
I'm not trying to
Tommy,
say.
let's go ahead and leave that there. Okay. Nurturing and the child, the only knock that you see against LGBT, are there any other knocks? Two men falling in love and expressing that love to each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have a disagreement with the marriage thing.
Okay.
But that's good. That's if you're going to have marriage, you're going to have gay marriage, then you are going to have kids. So that's why it's just going to come.
Okay, you're against gay marriage because they got to have kids.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen is they're going to basically. I mean, you're going to have a whole generation, or at least a percentage of kids growing up in homes that are not one man, one woman. All
right, let's go ahead. I gave you the point about kids and nurturing, but what else is a knock on LGBT you got? I think people have told me that you have a knock about consenting unions between same-sex lovers. Is this correct? You've expressed this in the Nadia Hangout?
Well, I mean, I personally find, especially the male version of that,
right,
repulsive. Quite honestly.
Why? Lay out your position, please.
I mean, it's kind of like if I were to ask you, why do you find child rape offensive? It's not the same, but it's similar in the sense that it's immoral. It strikes me as highly unnatural.
It's unnatural and immoral.
And yeah, but having said that, again, I do celebrate freedom and the right to do so. So regardless of what I think of it, I mean, that's not even really important.
Okay, now in a Nadia Hangout, when you lay out your views, do you say that these are only your personal opinions or not? You just, lay out what you find, I mean, what I'm asking, Tommy, is tell me the arguments that these people are blocking you about.
I honestly don't know. I know of one person who said he was blocking me here a couple weeks ago. That's the only one I know of. So if there's more, it's possible, but I haven't heard them say, Tommy, you're just so obnoxious about this gay thing, I'm blocking you. The one guy did a couple weeks ago, but that's the only one I know of.
Okay, but I mean, why did he block you? I mean, what ticked him off about the gay?
Okay.
Male union argument.
That was the evening I said that thing about.
Anal
Yeah.
sex?
No, it was about what was she wearing. That was a
Oh,
comment
that was great.
that was a comment meant for the side chat or the private chat rather. That was an unfortunate mistake, but so that teed him off. But see, it's weird because you know I I get this stuff all the time. We Christians get this same, I don't want to call it venom, but we get stuff all the time. But the thing is, I mean, I can have myself called all kinds of names and
Right.
have zero real, I can just sit back and take it,
Turn the
and
other
it's
cheek.
really it's no big deal. Honestly, I honestly don't care. But if I say something that's it's going to it provokes an internal anger in some of them that is unbelievable to me.
Okay,
And
you're surprised by their reaction because you said anal sex is what?
mhm.
What did you say
oh
about anal
oh
sex?
I don't. You may have to remind me, but I could have said any number of things. I mean, I could say it was grotesque, disgusting, immoral, unnatural. These are my opinions.
About four things right there.
Hmm.
Um, what of those four things that you said, which in your mind foremost is the buzzkill for anal sex between consenting males?
I
That
mean,
it's just
it's my
grotesque?
yeah, yeah. It's gross. I think there's an element also involved where nature has a tendency to frown on activities that are unhealthy and immoral.
Okay, like HIV.
Immorality kind of breeds unhealthy, and so I
Okay,
think
it
that
brings
has a tendency
disease.
to, yeah, I think it has a tendency to breed disease, and that's a problem in the gay community. I think even science has and does admit,
Too much
that
disease.
there's too much disease, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen in the heterosexual sexual population as well. It's just that I think gay people have a tendency maybe to not use protection as much or to have more partners than heterosexuals. Not all of them, but
Promiscuity.
right, right.
Okay. If you had to tell somebody what the heck was wrong with male-male unions, it would be
Well, like I said, it's there's multiple things. Ultimately,
against God.
I think it's a sin. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so your big ace is
but
that it's
well,
against God.
yeah. Let me say this though. Because I lived a life of sin before. Well, I still do, but I was certainly a sinner before got saved, and I certainly had my fair share of sexual immorality. Um, so I would be a hypocrite to say that they were any less any more immoral than I was. I'm a sinner. They're a sinner. They could be saved just like I was saved, regardless of their sin. I think Jesus is, he didn't come to save people who are perfect.
Right.
He came to save sinners, and so,
Okay.
I don't say that enough. I think I should probably mix that in. Um,
When you're doing
if,
the gate. Okay.
if I'm doing, but and as I was telling you earlier, and as I've said recently, I'm making an exception tonight, but I'm not getting into the gay thing anymore. At least online on camera. Probably not in chat either,
Okay, well, why not, Tommy?
because
I mean, don't you believe your points are pretty strong?
they're my position, but ultimately it doesn't do anybody any good, and honestly, it doesn't do me any good.
Doesn't do anybody any
It,
good. Well, I mean,
it
we need to get closer to God.
well, it's not going to happen. Remember what I was telling you before about evidence, arguing with evidence. If I can't convince somebody with evidence of the world around me, showing evidence of God, then I'm certainly not going to convince them with the evidence that homosexuality is a sin or is immoral. I'm not going to convince them to stop doing it. That's going to
Okay,
have to
well,
be
this
something that
isn't
comes from inside.
okay. Let's say there's gay guys together and but they don't have anal sex. Is that still wrong?
Yeah, I mean.
It's still wrong. Just okay, two
Yeah, I
guys
mean,
kissing is wrong.
Jesus says if you lust after someone in your heart, then you've committed adultery. But even so, I think there's another
Two
element
guys
there that
kissing, two
I
guys
I
falling in
can't
love.
I can't I can't pinpoint, exactly. Um, it seems like it's violating the order of things that was set up in
Okay,
the beginning.
you know what, Tommy? I'm going to help you pinpoint
Okay, help
exactly.
me.
All right, how old are you, Tommy?
I am
The
47.
ballpark. Okay, so let's say 30 years of experience are there, right?
Hmm.
Okay, how long has Christianity been around?
Total
Yeah,
since Christ, well, that would be 2,000
about
plus years.
2,000
Yeah.
years. Okay, so there's
Yeah.
2,000 plus 30. Okay, how long do you think? How long has it been since man has come down from the tree? Tribed up. Hung out in
Come down from the
tribes.
tree. Are you talking about evolution?
Yeah, sure. How long has
Oh, well,
that
I
been?
don't, I don't believe that.
Okay, so you believe it. Okay, how long has man been around?
Oh, I would say less than 10,000 years.
Less than 10,000 years.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Adam and Eve, man,
Hmm.
or okay.
Yeah.
So when did this a union between consenting adults came about? Like on, one day after 10,000 years ago? I mean, it's been around for a long time, right? Unions
Right.
between
Well,
people.
so yeah, but so has stealing, so has murder. I mean, all
Oh,
that stuff.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, just saying that just because people were doing it doesn't necessarily make it right.
Okay, just because people are doing it doesn't make it right.
Right.
Okay, why do you think people are doing it? Just to piss off God?
Uh, that's a good question. No, I think it's boy, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably to some degree hardwired into us. And
Okay,
I
how
want to
old
say
was I when I wanted to piss off God? How old do you think I was?
I'm not claiming that you were trying to piss off God.
When I wanted to go homo, how old do you think I was?
I don't know. I don't know you.
I was
Are you?
14.
Are you? You're not. Are you gay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was 14 years old.
Hmm.
And I mean, I wasn't doing it because I wanted to make God angry.
Yeah. No, that's not my argument.
Oh, okay. Well, then how did it happen?
Well, I mean, I think, it's a mystery. But would you agree with me that it seems to be that there's more of the homosexuality happening in society as opposed to, I don't know how old you are, but like say in the 70s or the 80s. I mean,
Wait
there's
for it.
just okay. So whether it be walking into a store or at work, it just seems like there's more people around who at least exhibit sort of gay
Okay, so we're like
tendencies.
encouraging it.
No, no. Well, I'm getting there. My personal belief is that it's environmental,
It's
and
environmental,
I think
cultural,
it's environmental. I think
environmental.
going back to science again, I think it's probably an embryonic thing where the embryo as the human is developing. Let's say the mom is smoking or doing
Smoking, something like
drugs.
autism.
Yeah, I think it's probably something along those lines. It may be plastic exposure. It may be pollution. I think it has something to do with our environment in some capacity. Not always. Now, I think there is an element where you could probably choose to be gay. Let's just say, for example, let's say let's say for whatever reason, when you're in your teens, you just start you know somebody and you're experimenting with it. Somebody who's
Okay,
gay,
experimenting.
and let's just say he sort of, I don't want to say forces you, but he pressures you into doing it, and it's like, oh well, this isn't bad. I think
Right.
it could be a learned thing. So I think there's
Like I
two
was
different.
trained to be a homo.
I said it could be just like if you're in prison, and let's just say you are in a cell block with people, and you're in prison for several years, and you do that day in day out or periodically.
I just,
You could
pretty much.
you could theoretically come out and think, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, it kind of feels good. The prostate's up there. That was stimulated. I had good orgasms. So
Right,
I'm
anal
just saying,
orgasm.
yeah. So I'm saying, in a way, it could be learned, but I think there's also an element where it's probably environmental. So I think that's why it's difficult to you
Okay,
know,
the
to
reason
some
I'm
degree, to some degree,
gay,
I don't think it's their fault. Go ahead.
okay, the reason I'm gay, Tommy, is because of the sex, right?
Mhm.
The
I don't
sex
know.
made me gay.
I don't know. I think
Well,
it's probably a mental. It's probably a mental. The cause is mental. I think it's just like, well, uh, like I said, brain development during
like
infancy,
maybe deep inside, I want to be a female. I want to take over the female role
mhm,
for sex,
mhm.
right?
I don't think it's just. I don't think it can be just physical. I think it has to be in the head. You know, it's got to be your thoughts, your feelings, your urges, whatever is causing that.
Okay, Tommy,
Um,
like we're growing up together. We're like 14-year-old boys, and we snuck up a porn tape down to the basement, right? And we're watching the porn tape. You
mm,
know, heterosexual, of course, like, you know, straight porn, right?
mm,
And I mean, did you ever do that when you were a kid? You know, watch porn?
no, no, I never did.
You know, watch porn? Okay, well, you know, it happens between kids, you know, adolescents. They sneak a porn tape and they're watching it because we grew up in the age of videotape, right?
Hmm.
And then we're watching that porn, and then, you know, I tell you, hey, Tommy, you know, I wish I was a woman.
Hmm.
Okay, so that does that fit what happens? It's part of the brain.
It wouldn't happen in my brain, but it
No,
probably
not in your
does.
brain, but I mean, in my brain,
Yeah,
it's
it may
happening.
happen in your brain. I don't know. I mean, you tell me.
Well, you told me it
I
was a
don't.
part of the mind.
Right. I think it's urges for like the people. Let's just take heterosexuals. There's certain heterosexuals who like, let's just say, for example, foot. They're into feet, or they're into what is it, sadomasochism, or the whip
Yeah, all the kinky
thing.
stuff. Kinky stuff.
Different people are into different things, and it's for whatever reason you're drawn or your urges are that direction. I don't know. You know, I do think I do think it's a dysfunction though.
Okay,
Just
you
like you
would
can
have
have
told,
dysfunctions as a heterosexual, you can have sexual dysfunction.
right. Okay, well, I mean, what would you have told me then? Would you have said, "Oh, that's you're just being weird. Get over it. You know, lock on the dude, be hetero." I mean, you said it's all the mind.
Right. Well, what would I say to you if you were doing that?
Like we're together, you know, and I say, "Tommy, I wish I was a woman," and you'd say,
Okay.
"Well, Bunto, come on, man, snap out of it, dude. You're a dude. Lock on to the dude's role. Be a dude in the role,
Uh-huh.
right?"
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I would
There's
say.
roles, right? There's the male role and there's the female role. And you
Right.
would tell me to get on with the male role.
I suppose. I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
But there is a male role. You believe there's just a male role and a female role, and the homo is like confused?
Well, I mean, you mean within the homosexual community? Are you asking if there's a male role and a female role?
Yeah, I mean, is
There
that the
seems
way?
to be. There seems to be. Yeah.
And the homo is confused.
Uh, yeah. I don't know if confused is the word. It's a mental. It's a mental. All I can say is dysfunction. That's the way I would
It's a
describe it, I
dysfunction.
think. Yeah.
Okay, it could be like my brain is shaped wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it probably had something to do with development, or possibly something that you just fell into and learned to like, and
Right.
it could be one of those two.
Okay,
So hard to
so
say.
do you think like somebody like me could train myself to be a hetero?
That's a good question. Uh, just like going back to the prison argument or the prison statement.
Right.
If someone can train himself to enjoy gay
Homo.
sex, then why couldn't, theoretically anyway, why couldn't you train yourself the other direction? Why
Yeah,
does it only go
deprogram
one
me.
way? Right,
Now,
right.
Tommy, do you think I tried to be hetero?
I don't know.
I tried, Tommy, for about
Okay.
13 years.
Okay.
So how come I didn't deprogram myself right? I mean, what did I miss? It's not easy or
Well,
what?
why do you think you tried to be hetero, first of all?
Because it was like our society is favored towards heterosexuality, towards straight living.
Hmm. Right.
And I went through Okay, just a quick nutshell. People have heard of my other now. Okay, I discovered I was like at 14 years old. I was homo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, I had a very positive view of going out with guys. I was very up on homo
Mm-hmm.
going into high school, right? I was excited about going to high school because my boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend, really, I should say, was going to the same high school, and I was going to get to hook up with him, there
Mm-hmm.
again, maybe try to win him back to me, try to get back together with him. And
Uh-huh.
I also told myself that there was going to be more guys there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like totally on the upswing of being gay and going into high school. My illusions were dashed within
Okay.
the first 2 weeks. I was disabused of that notion. It was pretty much like if they ever caught me or anybody like me doing that sort of behavior, I would suffer life and limb. They would pretty much wipe me out.
Mm-hmm.
And this just wasn't for
Right.
male guys. These are for females too. Anybody indulging in any sort of same-sex behavior, they're going to punish severely in high school, right? So I went through 4 years of being super repressed. And anybody can go back to some of my other hangouts, listen to that. I had an interview with Jennifer Borden, and we talked about that. Anyway, coming out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
Tommy, I didn't go like running right back to homo. I spent the next 13 years trying to convince myself I was hetero, trying to deprogram myself,
Mm-hmm.
and it just caved in on me.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know. But what I do believe though, and I don't know what you did, but you know, I think there's something real. There is something real about when you have faith and you have an actual relationship with the Creator.
Okay,
That
I
He
wasn't a
can.
Christian.
Okay. Well,
Christianity could have helped.
what I'm saying is that when you ask for help from the Creator and from
I
the
asked
one
for help
who
from God.
loves you, and you ask, He knows all of you, every square inch of you, all of your thoughts, all of your, and I'm not saying you, but all your me, dirty thoughts, dirty, intentions,
Craving,
all your struggles. He knows.
cravings for men.
Yeah, He knows all of that. Just like He knows me and all my flaws. The point is, though, if anything is changeable, I think Christ can change your heart. He can change your mind. He can change. Really you from the inside out. And
That's how powerful God is.
right. Well, think about it. I mean, if even as a secularist, you would probably maybe agree with me that changing the mind is probably easier than changing the body. You can't just zap a new wing or something.
Right.
So
My
changing your
arm
mind,
cut
at
off. I
least
can't grow a new one.
at least theoretically, the changing the mind is easier.
Okay,
And
Tommy.
yeah,
The short end. If I would have asked God to change me hetero, He would have done it, right?
the Bible does say, "Ask and you shall receive; knock and the door will be open." Um, I honestly believe that if you want something from the depths of your soul, and you ask God to help you and guide you and love you and steer you in that direction, I honestly believe He will. But having said that, you know, again, we're all sinners, and I would be a hypocrite and really, quite honestly, a terrible witness for Christ if I said, no, you're a homosexual, you're not going to heaven, screw you, I hate you.
Well,
I mean, that's not
isn't
my
that the truth?
stance. No, it's not the truth. I believe absolutely you can go to heaven, even being a homosexual, but I think, I
I
mean,
can't do homosexual things.
quite honestly, I'm a sinner as well. I'm a sexual sinner. I look at women and think, wow, she's cute, or
Adultery in your heart.
imagine things. Yeah, of course. So so who am I to say, oh, I'm so much better than Bunto? My sin is not that bad. That would be terribly hypocritical, and it's not my position at all.
Okay, I'll give you all that, Tommy. Tommy, the thing is that God if I somehow I would have, really communicated with God, he would have changed me hetero because he's that powerful.
Yeah, I think certainly. Look, well, just different people in the Bible. Paul, for example. I mean, he went from murdering Christians, persecuting Christians, to totally changing his whole life, his whole outlook, his whole heart, mind, body, soul, everything changed. And I think that maybe to that degree, but that's the same story that I could tell. That's the same story that Rand could tell, or any number, how many millions of Christians, throughout time, that they say the same thing about how there's something different and new about them that wasn't there before, and there's a love and a joy that fills them.
Well,
so I think it could. Yes, I'll put it that way.
I'll tell you what happened. I always thought I was a Christian, right? Even my atheism came about. I would say maybe my fervent atheism probably came about 2 or 3 years ago. Right? I really started reading the Bible, studying the Bible with Robert M. Price, and the whole thing caved in, and I really made up my mind that there was no God. But even when I was searching to be hetero, I was trying to negotiate with God in my mind. I guess some prayers too of hey, don't let's talk about everything except don't ask me about my sexuality. All right, just I was thinking of that. But Tommy, you realize that there's other people even more fervent than I ever was, who are still homo. I mean, they asked God. I didn't switch them to homo. I didn't switch them to hetero. I mean, what's your response to that? I mean, they asked God diligently, and it didn't happen. God wants them to be homo?
No. It's tough. There's
okay, we don't know what the heck's going on, right? We just don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I will say, and I'm not saying this is the easy road, but if Jesus, he said, if the eye is causing you to sin, pluck it out.
Pluck it out, right?
And that's kind of a harsh thing to say. You don't want to be cutting your genitals off. And I'm not suggesting that.
Well, the homo can quit doing homo things.
But you could abstain, at least theoretically, even
though
you
have those urges. Quit doing homo things.
Well,
right, the homo can quit doing homo things.
Right. Well, for example, let's just say I had a propensity to see prostitutes. There's some guys who they're married, they can have sex anytime they want, basically. But there's something exciting about seeing prostitutes. Don't get any ideas. I don't do that. But you could have those urges. You could have those, and not saying that wouldn't still be sinful, but there's a difference in having the urges and actually going out and doing it.
Right, not acting on them.
Right. So just because you have that feeling or that urge doesn't mean you have to actually go do it. And that's true. I mean, it's discipline. It's putting your faith in something higher than you, asking for help. And who knows if you did? What if you did pray to God to bring you a female that would love you like you are, that you could fall in love with, and when you get to meet somebody, sometimes you can fall in love, and at first they're not terribly attractive to you. Let's just say, for example, but over time you spend time with them, and
I could train myself to be hetero.
Lo and behold, you find your body sort of falling for her, if you can imagine it. So that's
I've got
what I'm
to
saying.
surrender my sexuality to hetero.
Well, I'm just saying, I would ask God. I would ask God to bring an alternative into your life that could possibly sway you in the other direction. Yes.
Okay, Tommy. I mean, these are difficult questions that have been around for 10,000 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, me and you 10,000 years ago are having the same talk. Now it seems nothing has changed in 10,000 years, right?
Mm.
Okay, so, I mean, when are you just going to admit it that, why do you think our country's going towards same marriage equality, Tommy? Don't you think it's because they want to have some utility to adult consensual relationships I don't think they're doing it to piss off God. I think they're trying to make things work.
Yeah, well, that's not my argument. I didn't say that people were trying to piss off God. I think in actuality, it's probably the opposite. They're trying to. There's a lot of this me mentality in the
Me.
in the world. It's like, I want this and I want that. You know, the Christian
I
the
want to
Christian
be a woman.
worldview.
They want it,
Well,
right?
look,
Like,
the Christian worldview is about love. It's what I was saying before. It's not about yourself. It's about helping the lady pay for her groceries, the old lady, or helping her cross the street. It's about, you know, loving your neighbor. It's about bowing your knee to the Creator. It's about, you know, showing or giving your kids everything that you can give them so that they'll grow up, you know, to be healthy and responsible and good adult. It's about giving yourself away. That's the, you know, that's what Christ did. He gave himself away on the cross for us. So that is the Christian worldview. It's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's about what
pleasing God.
It's what I can give. It's who I can love. It's not about how smart I can be or how right I can be. It's about who I can love and what I can give.
Okay, for me to be a Christian, I got to give up my homo. For sure.
I didn't say that.
Oh,
you missed my diatribe, I think.
Okay, well, I got to give myself to Christ.
To be a Christian?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Bible says that
I can't be selfish with my desires.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's what being a Christian is about. Is you turn away from yourself. You basically you throw yourself back out and away. You say, self, get out of here. And instead, you invite the truth into your heart and Jesus to guide your life and to, you know, be your Savior and to acknowledge that He, you know, died on the cross, rose again in 3 days. And in that, basically, in a very quick nutshell, is what it is to be a Christian.
Yeah.
But it's a denial of self, yeah.
Okay, so, well, let me just ask you this. You know, you come into the Nadia hangout. I come in. I tell everybody that Nadia has accepted my proposal for marriage. We're going to get married, and we're going to, you know, try raising a family. You know, we're going to teach them all about tolerance and LGBT. I mean, are you going to, you know, you said you're not going to touch the LGBT thing anymore. Are you going to advise against it, or are you going to congratulate us on a, you know, successful, happy life together?
No, I'll have my own. I'll have my own opinions. But yeah, in this community, there's two reasons. One, I think my statements are hurting people, and that's honestly not my goal. Okay. So if there's gay people in the room, I honestly don't. I do not want to hurt them. I don't want to make them feel bad about themselves, even though, you know, there's probably people out there snickering. It's more of it's more intellectual jousting with the people who, for whatever reason, and I don't usually mean the gay people, but atheists have a tendency to really stand up for the gay crowd and
okay.
And so it's more of an intellectual sort of a jab to the gut, you know, to that, more so than it is to try to, you know, drag down the gay, hurt the gay person, hurt the transsexual. In fact, I try to go out of my way, to Nadia especially, to tell her, you know, I'll go in a room and I'll say, "Oh, Nadia, you look nice today," you know,
right.
Or I go out of my way to compliment her, and I tell her I love her, and, you know, various things. I go, you know, I try to make it so my arguments are not personal, and if anything, I try to make her feel good about herself.
Very good. I think
encourage her.
You know, with that sort of thinking, you could probably open up some sort of reconciliation, you know, to anybody who's. I advise, you know, all our listeners, to anybody who's blocked Tommy, why don't you, you know, call a ceasefire and let's go towards dialogue. You know, unblock them. See if you can work stuff out. Okay, Tom, let's just leave that there, okay? You know, Let's talk about people who think like you, also on the greater debate community, people like Veckel and who else? Revelation News. Those characters. Okay. let me ask you this. What's the state of affairs going on in the theist half there? I mean, are you guys having a house cleaning since, the Shanty for Christ against Rancam debacle? Are you trying to get more of
I don't
a
know if it's a house cleaning, but there's definitely a divide there. And
like-mindedness? How about that? Like-mindedness.
yeah, I mean, and see, I'm really irritated by that. I'm irritated by divide within the Christian community. Now, obviously, there's divide with the atheists, but within the Christian community, it really irritates me. And so I try to play
Fiona,
what I
Jack.
can. Like with Fiona, I'm not about to call her a non-Christian or any less of a yeah. No, I'm not gonna call her that. Nothing. Here's the thing, I have my hills and valleys. There's, to me, you're either a Christian or you're not. It's kind of like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not.
Right.
But with Christianity, you can be a baby in Christ. You can be a seedling that's just now popped up, or you could be a big tree, or a big bush or something with pretty flowers on it, or whatever. But so people are at different stages of their walk and of their faith, and so it's just not me to question. I can question their behaviors, I can question what they say, I can question their views, but I'm not going to question their faith. So if even if Alex Botton came out and said, "Hey, I'm a Christian," we could both sort of roll our eyes, sort of, but I'm not going to question him about it.
Well, what about
if that's what he says? Sometimes when you say something enough, it can become mentally a mental habit, and before long you might start believing it. So it's not my thing to start questioning people's faith.
Okay, well, I could see that part, Tommy, but okay, that's kind of liberal coming from somebody as conservative as you. Can't you see that as like, Bunto shows up and says, "Hey, I'm a Christian," you wouldn't, challenge that?
No, I wouldn't. I honestly, I wouldn't. I mean, like, what's his name? Brucifer.
Brucifer.
He's a good one. Because he's an interesting character, because sometimes he can come across as very, very, very well spoken,
all right,
very thoughtful, and say some provocative things and some insightful things, and make some valid points, and then you see him on a hangout or making a video, and I'd be like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So and I still to this day don't know what he believes. I mean, I've heard him say that he's not a Christian. I've heard him say he's a Christian. Heard him, sort of in between. So, I mean, that's between him and God. And having said all that about a couple people, I don't think it's wrong to judge someone's theological positions. I don't think it's wrong to judge their actions, their behaviors. I don't think it's wrong to call people out. I'm more of a fan of calling people out in private than I am in public when it comes to Christians.
Do you do that?
Do I? No, I wouldn't say that I have on here. I've thought about it, but here's the thing. I mean, honestly, I mean, for me to come out against somebody when I have said some of the things that could be quoted that are just so off the charts, it would come across as pretty hypocritical. But
you like G-Man, right?
Do I like him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look what he does it all the time, man. He's going after theists. That's 2015 now. That's his deal, going after theists.
After theists?
How come you're not getting it? I mean, how come you're not,
G-Man is going after theists?
Yeah, he went after Andy Jack.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, now if you kept up with that soap opera, I have Andy Jack circled, and it's not.
Yeah, we're sitting in the audience. We're watching the big screen, Tommy. So let's talk about what's going on. All right, G-Man is moving toward a house cleaning.
Yeah, but G-Man's going toward Andy Jack because Andy Jack makes, either a video or a comment pretty much every day, or sometimes multiple comments, multiple videos about G-Man and how much of an effing C word he is. That what a horrible example of a Christian he is. So anything that G-Man says to Andy Jack is certainly a response to
Reaction.
that. It's a reaction, and I wasn't aware that G-Man really gave Andy much thought, but maybe he does. I don't know, because G-Man's got so many fans and detractors and bigger what am I trying to say?
Bigger things to worry about. All right. Well, let me ask,
you know,
Tom,
when you've got Alex Botten and that crowd to deal with, you know, they can be like a swarm of hornets. So Andy Jack's pretty harmless, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let me ask you this, Tommy. Should there be a Christian house cleaning? I mean, are there some people that, you know, push them over to the atheists? You know, let's get our team a little bit stronger.
No, I would never push anybody there. No.
Is that the worst thing in the world, to go towards atheist clown show?
You know, like Channing Christ. You know, since we're going to gossip.
Yeah, let's talk about Channing.
You know, she's an interesting case, and I find it odd. You know, she's the opposite of me. I would not come. You know, I would never make a video specifically about a Christian.
To take them out.
Yeah, to take them out. And to make to destroy their witness, to destroy, because that's really all it is. And I think it's drama driven. You know, she thrives on drama, and I think, you know, the drama on Google Plus probably takes away from the drama in the house, or it might act as some sort of a, you know, what's the word? A diversion. You know, maybe if she's PO'd at Rand or Veckel, then it keeps, you know, that's the dog that she can kick when she gets home, you know, as opposed to starting World War III with her husband.
Right. Okay. That's right. How about this, Tommy? Like, okay, she shows up, maybe you're in a hangout, and she shows up in a hangout, and she says, "What's your beef against me?" And you told her, "Shani, you went clown show, and if you're going to be clown show, go with the atheists, because they're all clown show."
No, I would still never say that.
Okay.
No, I would say, you know, and Shani's and I have crossed paths, and, you know, you know,
right.
Speaking of opening my mouth, I mean, I've said some things to Shani that I've regretted, and she called me on it, and yeah, maybe rightfully so, but, you know, she did it in a way that was pretty over the top and non-Christ-like, and, you know, so I'll leave it at that. But even having said that, you know, she kind of created a situation between me and her. I probably won't. I don't watch her videos, and I don't really pay attention to what she does.
Shunder.
Yeah, I just don't even care. But
right.
So I kind of go on what I hear. But I would never say to jump ship, go to the other side. I mean, honestly, when we're talking about salvation here, I mean, all the fun and games stops for me.
Right, you take it seriously.
All the you know, the jabs and the fun stuff. I mean, that ceases. I mean, to me, when Christ is involved and your walk with Him, then all that stops.
Okay.
And I back off.
Well, that could be a safe word. I mean, you know, whenever it gets too, you know, thick, maybe somebody could mention, "Hey, is Christ involved?" And then you realize that's a safe word to, like, you know. If you feel like you're taunting somebody, you know, like you said, you know, you have a bad habit of taunting.
Yeah.
You know, that could be a safe word. You know, is Christ involved? And then you'd realize, oh, okay, maybe I'm pushing too hard. Well, I was thinking about this. Since we're sitting in the audience and just watching the great debate community, I mean, we're fair to judge about, you know, how effective someone's message is, you know, be it for Christianity or atheism or whatever. I was talking about in the wind down for Rand show that, you know, what's something that would, you know, really unite the great debate communities if a bunch of Muslims came here and started, you know, doing Muslim things. You know, it would unite the Christians and the atheists, you know, against that sort of malarkey. And then somebody probably, no, it would unite the Christians and the Muslims against the atheists. So, I mean, what's your take? I mean, just sitting in the audience.
I think Muslims here it would end up being everybody against the Christians. Because if you've noticed in politics, you know, I don't watch a lot of politics anymore because, quite honestly, it was causing me anxiety, and I have a disposition towards getting overwhelmed with things that are not in my control. So politics
Okay.
obviously are not in my control. So I just chose for myself, for my mental stability, to stop watching it. But if you watch politics, it seems like the liberals generally don't get too animated with the antics of the Muslims, like the roadside bombs. They'll report the story, but the condemnation isn't there.
Oh,
And
okay.
terrorist attacks. People are disgusted by it, but where is the outrage? Whereas if you had an abortion clinic bomb on behalf of a Christian, then all heck would break loose in
All heck to
society.
break.
Yeah, so I think there's something about the Muslims that the atheists or the liberal atheists tend to identify with, and I think pretty quickly it would become all against the Christians.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting viewpoint. All right. Well,
Well, the Christians
okay.
would be all against the Christians would be against the Muslims, and they'd be against the atheists because they're not Christian. We'd be trying to save them all, or plant seeds anyway.
I thought it was just, those guys are Charlie Hebdo and flying planes into the Twin Towers. I mean, we pretty much buddy up with the Christians to get them out of here. If they started doing that sort of antics, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
I guess being from Texas, that's the way I think, but
in some sense, it might be if some of them came and they offered some sort of creationist, what's the word, backup or support. I'd take that. If
well,
they're
the
going to
first
get
thing
in,
they say is that Jesus was a phony.
right? Well, they say that. I think
They
they say
say he was only a prophet; he wasn't God. And then,
right. No, we would obviously have issues with that. But but if they came on and started arguing or debating,
okay, well, Tommy,
God,
would they be real opponents to you guys for a change? I mean, don't you think atheists are just baloney, ridicule based? Or who's a better opponent, a Muslim or an atheist?
I've never. I was with a Muslim or two the other night, but I think the atheists are formidable opponents.
No, really.
Not necessarily their view, because I think their views are vacuous for the most part, but they tend to be strong personalities, and they tend to they are vigorous in their beliefs, and and quite honestly, there's a lot of smart people in the atheist community. There's a lot of what I would call intellectuals, and that puts someone like me at a little bit of a disadvantage, because I came to this debate as just a normal guy. I mean, I was into sports, I was into gardening and landscaping and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not particularly intelligent or insightful. I don't know much about physics or chemistry or any of that stuff, or certainly philosophy.
Right.
So I'm in a disadvantage, but all I can do is say what's in my heart and try to talk about the truth. As
talk 5 centimeters from the ground instead of 500 feet in the air, 500 miles in the air, right?
Right.
Like
so,
you go to for some reason you show up at an Ozymandias hangout, and then you want to tell that guy,
yeah.
What's not bullshit. Let's quit bullshitting here, Ozzy, and let's really talk about.
Yeah, well, speaking of Ozzy, if I got into it, he won't talk to me, I think, too much. Well, we kind of have lately, but I've tried to get him into a hangout with me, but if we talked about philosophy, he would mop the floor with me, no doubt.
Right.
And
me
I wouldn't even try it. But having said that, if we got into a discussion about what actually happens in nature, what actually happens,
if God really exists.
No, I'm saying if we actually look at the actual science and the actual evidence as it happens, and I'm not talking philosophy, I'm talking verifiable things that go on and are discovered within science, I think he would lose pretty handily. But Ozzy's a nice guy, and I now know he's not much of a debater per se. He goes out and he does his thing, and he teaches. He's a good teacher.
He teaches, but somebody going toe to toe with him, he doesn't know what to do.
No, well, I'm not even saying he wouldn't be good at it. I'm just saying it's not his thing. Just like it's not my thing to stand up and teach. It's more my thing to be one-on-one with somebody and just sort of like you and I are doing.
Yeah, you're good.
Sort of
okay.
Just bounce things up.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, Tom. We got the Christopher Mates. We got the Ozymandias, and then you got guys like Captain Osimo.
Yeah.
I mean, clown
Right.
show, right?
No, actually, I like those guys, and I much
Like,
prefer them to. Yeah, I like Captain Osimo, although I have blocked him. Um,
okay, please explain that
here's the
to me.
thing. Here's the thing. I've kind of been on a blocking spree, which I've never done since I've been
Why,
here.
Tommy? Is it effective?
No, here's the thing. I don't at all appreciate this whole G-Man thing
Doc dropping.
where they're dog dropping him, and they continue to say his name
Well, we know his name.
after. I know, but here's the
Haven't
thing.
used his name?
He has mentioned his name evidently, but here's the thing. People come and go on this YouTube and Google Plus constantly, and all it takes is one monster to hear his name, to know where he lives, and that goes for anybody. But he makes it a little bit of a target of himself, as do I and others. But so it just takes one guy. So the fact that people do come and go all the time, even if G-Man mentioned his name every day for the past 5 years,
Okay.
if he wanted from this point forward to no longer mention his name or anybody to mention his name,
But
they,
Tommy, it can't
they
just
should
be
grant
that's
him.
a little bit of the lady doth protest too much. I mean, I've heard theists use his real name.
Well, even so, that doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, if he does not want his name out there, then I think of all the things that the atheists do and say about him, they should give him that.
Okay.
That's not a big thing, and he's repeated it over and over. And I just started blocking people when I saw them use his name. I just started blocking them because
Like if they said his full name GM, or if they just called his name G.
no, well, no. I mean,
Because
if they're using
I've heard
no,
theists call him G plenty of
well,
times.
that's part of his name, G-Man.
Well, I meant, Gary. That's what I meant.
Right.
I mean,
So
you just block people that call him Gary.
probably not. I mean, I would use discretion, but just think if it was, if the shoe was on the other foot, and if you were a target for your beliefs, which he is, and I'm not saying, physically by anybody specifically, but if you felt you were a target or if you were fearful,
Right.
then going forward, there's nothing wrong with wanting to keep that anonymous. And it's kind of like, it's just, for me, it's drawing the line. And if someone's going to do that, that's kind of really below. That's really below the belt.
You have a good point there, Tommy. Well, let me give this our last subject, so we can wind up the interview. We're both Texans. You live in DFW area, and I live in the Austin area. Okay, let's talk up Texas here, like good Texans should. Do you like living in Texas?
Yeah, I grew up here, and I love the people. Although it's getting more and more crowded, and I think we're getting a lot more transplants from the north, which is kind of changing the dynamic a little bit. Because when I was a kid, everybody was the same. I say everybody, but we all had common values, and people would say hi. If you're just out and around, and
they're a lot more impolite and
it was just a different sort of time, and that may be the case everywhere, but especially here, it seems like it's kind of changed. People are, and it may come with crowds too. There's a lot more people, and people just get irritated and angry.
Right.
And so there's some of that going on, which is sad. There's not as many kids playing outside.
Okay, these guys from the north want to take away our guns?
Oh, of course they do.
Is that the big issue? Is that they want to come over here and start cracking down on our liberal gun culture?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that. I mean, because look, if you have a house and you have kids, and you have a wife, and you have things in your house that are valuable, people, things, I think it's very easy to understand that those valuable things need to be protected. And so if someone tries to enter your house and rape, rob, steal, kidnap, any of those things, and that person has a gun, I think it's just common sense that we should have the right to be able to defend ourselves if that were to happen.
Okay, You got a gun, or are you going to call the cops first?
Oh no, I wouldn't call the cops first.
Okay. Um,
I mean, if they're in my house. Now, if they're outside, you know, I probably would use the gun first because who knows who it is. But if they're actively attempting, in an obvious way to get in the house, then yeah, I mean,
okay, you
you
like
do
your
what you have to
gun.
do.
You like having a lot of. You got a lot of guns, or just one gun?
No, actually, I don't. I don't have a gun.
Oh, okay, but okay.
At
Well,
this point. I did have a shotgun at one time, but I just, with kids in the house, I weighed that, and it just, my own personal choice was to get rid of it.
well, I tell you right now, in Texas, that is the regime that's in power, right? I mean, we have a much more. What would you say? I don't know. Should I say teabagger? Are you a teabagger?
Yeah, well, I'm about as
Conservative.
conservative fiscally and socially as you could imagine. So, yeah, I guess even though the Tea Party was really originally just a fiscal get together. It
Right.
wasn't really, I don't think, meant to mean pro life, some of the other social things. But that's kind of what it's morphed into. Um, but yeah, I think I would qualify as hard right.
Okay. Are you anti-immigrant?
No, I think there's a place for immigrants from all countries, including Mexico, if they do it the right way. I'm not for uh, borders being just uh,
Porous.
porous. No, I'm not for that. Um, I think they. I wish we had some sort of a work program. Maybe we have one, but it's not capitalized. If we do have one, where people could come work for a season or a year, and then maybe pay a fee or whatever, and then be able to go back and forth,
Right.
to be able to
Like
do.
people in Washington don't know how Texas works.
Well,
Right.
probably not. Probably not.
They don't know how immigration should be handled. Right.
uh, Quite honestly, I don't know that much about the politics in Washington of immigration. I
Well,
just
you had a
know
good idea, like a work program.
it just seems like they're not terribly serious about securing the border. From what I hear, it's gotten a little bit harder here in recent years, a little
The
more
drug
dicey.
cartels are coming through.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, from what I've been hearing, it's more difficult now to get over illegally than it used to be, because it used to just be a
Oh
cakewalk.
yeah, much more.
So it is improving. And I don't know if that's because of the state level or the U.S. level, but it is harder. So, but yeah, I'm not necessarily against. I'm not anti-immigration. It just needs to be legal. I'm a big fan of following the law.
Okay, you like the Latino influence we have here in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Or
don't have a no. I don't have a problem with that.
or would you ever be like English only? I'm sorry, but these people are speaking. They're here in our
Uh,
country. They got to speak
no,
English,
I'm not one of those because I
right?
speak Spanish. I speak Spanish, so it's no problem to me.
Right. I mean, you have to have some sort of functional level of Spanish. If you're really going to groove here in Texas.
It's unfortunate for them because I know guys who've been here for a long time and don't learn the language, can't learn the language. There's something about being an adult that, for whatever reason, our minds can't learn a language. Whereas if you're a kid, it just
Yeah, like
happens like
water.
that. Yeah, but they can't do it. uh, but
Like, okay, if you encountered, like, let's say you went to a Nade hangout and somebody was there blasting Latinos. I mean, would you be silent, or would you, tell them that, hey, you don't know how to deal with people?
Now, if they were blasting them for being Latino, no. I mean, if they were blasting them for crossing over illegally or you know committing crimes at high
Yeah.
rates, which probably happens, um, or any a number of things. I mean, yeah, I might agree with them.
Committing
But yeah,
voter fraud.
I'm not. Yeah, if that happened, yeah, certainly. But I don't know that from what I can from my experience, it seems like most of them aren't terribly into voting, and they're not terribly into politics. At least the guys I come across. But I could be wrong. But no, I'm not. I'm not at all. I think Texans have a stereotype of being racist, and if anything, I think we're all children of God, no matter what we look like. And so I'm the anti-racist. I love everybody, and I think Christ could care less about our skin. We all started probably humanity looking maybe somewhat with the skin color of dark, very dark. The Egyptians, I think, had some African influence in their skin back in the old days, and it was probably quite dark. Maybe Jesus was dark. I don't know. But I think it's the outer is just totally meaningless, honestly.
Right, it's the inner. That's a good. Let's go ahead and end the interview there, Tommy. I'll go ahead and open it up to participants. I just want to thank you, Tommy, for an excellent interview. I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be back in just a bit. Take care.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Well, thanks for. Did you watch the interview?
Caught the last half of it, or not half, last about 5 minutes of it.
Oh, okay. Well, it's better than nothing.
Hey, hello. How you doing, Pyong? Pyong, this is my friend Tommy. Tommy, this is Pyong.
Hi,
Hello,
Tommy.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Well, where have you been, Pyong? Been working hard?
Oh man, I've been busy like fucking crazy, dude.
Tell me.
Like nuts. Oh boy. Just a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff going on, man. The snow melted, and they're out there getting leases on walls, and it's just insane, man. And not only that, now I have stuff I need to do around the house too. You know, so because the weather's getting nice, and been outside doing the maintenance, and yeah, dude, it's a pain in the ass. How you been doing? What's going on?
Oh, shoot, I'm trying to do interviews. I've been on an interview kick. I've done Tommy, I've done Rancam, I've done Shamos. Just trying to keep busy.
God!
I
I
seen
gotta
the
go
one with
back and
Shamos.
archive. I'm sorry, Tommy. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I haven't seen the one with Shamos. The one with Ren was excellent, like really good, and I thought well you were excellent with this one too, Bunto, but I thought you were really good with Ran, and you're just like a freaking Larry King, honestly.
Yeah, I was thinking more of a gay Bill Donahue.
I didn't watch it. Was this a good interview? I didn't watch this.
The best
Oh, yeah,
yet.
it went really well. The best yet, right? They just we're building to a crescendo.
I don't think I could compare with Ran for sure.
Oh no, he's a lot of fun.
No.
I tried to have a hangout yesterday, and it just went, it sucked bad. Trollin was there. I think Down kind of brought the whole thing down to a screeching halt. Remember him, Pyong?
Yeah?
Oh my God, man.
What'd he say?
I
want to hear it. What'd he say?
What most upset him was I kept saying Avatar instead of Avatar.
Wow.
I can't believe you, Bunto.
I know. Really. Okay, Trollin, are you there? I mean, could you just go ahead and tell the idiocy that went on that one yesterday? I mean, I tried to make it work, but then about the last 30 minutes.
We're just talking about GIF files and our avatars, and he didn't like it.
I know.
Fucking with the
I think Down needs to get laid, dude. That's what his thing. He hasn't got laid in a while.
He's
Is that how you pronounce it?
No, it isn't actually. He professionally rubs people the wrong way, don't you think?
Yes, you're right. It's all by design.
It's part of the interview. It's the technique.
Well, no, Keefies, we're talking about Down, about his trolling. I know Istis took, he was the one who was really doing battle. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even trolling, bro. I think that's just the way he is,
Yeah.
He's not trolling, man. That's the way he is. You know that.
But he wasn't in the bathtub this time. He was just.
So what was your? I only caught like the last half when Tommy was bad mouthing Mexicans. So what was your favorite part of the?
What's your favorite Mexican food? Go ahead, Tommy.
Well, what's your favorite part?
of the interview?
Yeah.
I honestly liked all of it, but I enjoy. I guess the part I enjoyed most was just kind of the talk about the community, kind of dishing some, just my kind of not venting, but just spilling my thoughts on the community, certain people that were brought up, and I got to Bunto let me sort of get some things out there that I kind of needed to get out there. And so that was a good thing, but yeah, kind of just talking about the community was probably my favorite part.
Okay, we're sitting in the audience watching, the great debate community up on the screen. I say it's all clown show. What do you say, Pyong?
Clown show. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good descriptor. I like that.
Or what? Are you getting, vital things that matter in your life from watching, Ozymandias and Christopher Mate and all those guys?
I know Christopher Mate just from I can't even say I've even watched the video. You guys have talked about Ozzy before. I have no idea who he is.
He's a philosopher. He's like the
so he works at a coffee shop. Is that what you're?
Yeah, he's like a master. He's like a black belt master in great debate philosophy.
He's a black belt master.
Right? Isn't he, Tommy? Isn't he the black belt?
You talking about Ozzy?
Yes, Ozzy.
Yeah, he's the atheist pope.
Oh, he's
The atheist pope.
Yeah, he's the atheist pope.
That's good, man.
But nobody listens to him, so he is like the atheist pope.
No, I don't know. I think he commands a lot of attention, and he deserves it because who can? What's the word? He's such a good, smooth talker who can.
He sounds smart.
He can communicate his thoughts. Like
He's a nice guy. He's genuinely a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's intelligent. He's a good chap.
Yep. And he's probably smarter than all of us, so that's probably true too.
When did we get a pope?
We just did right now.
Just now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not my term. Ozzy knows that. I think other people have pinned that on him, so I'm just repeating it.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff.
I, as an atheist, don't look up to anyone extra special, Tommy. Even you, buddy.
I thought it was just the default position.
Hi, everyone.
Are we all supposed to be equals?
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going, Tommy? I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're just missing paths.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm usually on in the evening somewhere. But this was good tonight. Thanks for that, Bunto. Or is he still here? Maybe he left.
He just left. He's just gone.
All right. Well, anyway. But yeah, I think we had a good time. It seems like it went on for a while because we started at 7:30.
There was a couple hours, dude.
Dadgum, man.
Yeah, I was on another hangout.
Yeah.
Seems like I was invited kind of late.
Yeah.
Well, didn't he want a full interview and then us peasants afterwards?
Yeah, I think that was the plan.
But then he just leaves us all. So what are we doing now?
I didn't know he was gay. That kind of made it uncomfortable.
I didn't know that either. Not that doesn't make it uncomfortable for me, but that was something he didn't share with me until recently either. So.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, talking about all this gay stuff, it just kind of added an element of discomfort when you're talking to a gay guy. But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think he might be a switch hitter if that makes you feel any better.
I don't know. I don't know. He didn't say that. He said he was pretty much just gay. So
Yeah, I think Bunto will hit anything.
yeah.
Come here.
Next.
Yeah, and that was the segment that kind of maybe it didn't seem like that to the audience, but to me it seemed like it just would never end. It's like, when can I get off this gay thing? But he was probing it pretty good, for lack of a better word.
He was anally probing.
He was probing very deeply into my, whatever.
Innermost cavities
Yes.
of consciousness.
Yeah, there'd be no real reason to get anal over it, but.
That's right.
Yeah. So, oh my.
Were you really uncomfortable, Tommy?
Was I uncomfortable?
Yeah, yeah. Did you really feel uncomfortable? Do you really feel uncomfortable talking about this kind of stuff?
I just know how explosive it is. So, and I have said some things in the past month that, if repeated verbatim, would sound really bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't say them in front of my children.
Yeah, so there's particular comments that are pretty over the top. But again, everybody gets into these heated conversations and says things that they could take back, and I'm no different.
Well, even though I don't share your same views on this particular topic, I do understand how sometimes when if I'm talking about libertarianism to somebody who has a vested interest in the status quo, it can be very explosive and very hard to have a sort of an even-handed conversation about things when people are when they have really high stakes in the current system.
Oh, wait, Jeff, he's back. Hold on.
There he is.
Sorry about
Okay.
that. Server crash.
We gotta stop talking about him now.
No, you can go ahead.
God,
Keep
he's
talking
here.
about it. I'm still scaring some stuff away. I'll be back in just a sec. Hold on.
No, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry, buddy.
But I understand, when somebody's personally really close to an issue, you can't really have kind of measured, discourse about it. So
yeah, and it becomes personal. If it's something that it's who you are in that case, your sexual identity is being discussed. It can't help but be personal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he handled it very well. Considering the extreme position that I hold. I think he did very well. So.
What's your extreme position?
Well, you'd have to watch the video.
Missionary.
Not going to happen. Oh.
Sorry, guys. I don't know why I can't get it to turn
I missed
off.
that.
I'm sorry, I'm doing my...
What's going on, Neo?
All right, I'm back. Server crash. Okay, hey, Jeff's on the show. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey, Bunto, how are you?
Pretty good. Okay, how many Hangouts have you done today, Jeff?
This would be my second.
Really? Because I've seen your little green dot spin by your avatar for almost days on end.
My avatar? Well, that just means I'm online, though. It doesn't mean I'm in a Hangout, does it?
Oh.
Whatever, Keller.
Yeah, whatever.
It means I'm logged into Google, basically.
Okay,
whose hangouts do you go into, Jeff? Generally.
I was in. Hermine was in a Hangout. Usually Bunto's Hangouts I go to. Sid, who's usually in the same Hangouts.
But who puts them? Are you talking? This isn't Nadia's, is it?
So you're following Hermine around?
No, not necessarily. No.
I don't blame you there, man.
But she was. She did the last one. I do go into Nadia's sometimes.
Okay.
I go into when I see Roy Montero. People, my old friends, I've been on for like 3 years, so like the people I've known for a long time, I generally go into their hangouts.
So is it all God talk or what?
Not the last one. I was actually talking about cruises.
Gay cruising?
Yeah. We had a very
Not
pleasant
gay
conversation. We had a very pleasant conversation about cruises.
Yeah,
and
we were talking about
vacations.
cruises and stuff and
That was Hermine, I bet you.
vacations.
Gay
Yeah,
cruising.
Hermine makes she doesn't get into she doesn't get into religion and politics too much.
She'd make a great cruise director.
Ever since that Playboy
She would be
spread.
an awesome cruise director. Yes, I agree.
Come here and get drunk at 10, and then at noon go over here and get drunk.
Yeah, that's kind of what you do.
I've gotten with Hermine a lot in politics. She is a formidable opponent, at least emotionally. She gets wrapped up pretty good.
Tommy, you don't like gay people, you don't like Mexicans, and now you don't like black people. I don't know what we're gonna do with you, son.
Right.
That's why I had him on the show.
And liberals. Don't forget liberals.
I hate everyone else too, dude. I hate everyone. It's cool.
Okay, why did you talk such a Betty Crocker subject as cruising?
Because I can talk about anything, and we were kind of talking about vacations and stuff like that, and
Okay, well,
I like the vacation, so I'm a well-rounded person. I don't have to be talking about religion.
It was a very pleasant.
27.
It was a very pleasant conversation.
Yeah.
was it very safe?
No, a little edgy here and there.
A little edge? Like,
Yeah.
did she look good in a bathing suit, or?
Well, Jeff had an extraordinarily fun time with a 90-year-old lady once.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I commend you, Jeff.
Yeah. Exactly.
We'll just
nice.
leave it at that. You know.
I like
Public service.
older women. Yeah.
Me too, Jeff. Jeff. Okay, Hermine in a bathing suit. Yes or no?
Yes, fucking yes. I'll vote for him. I vote for Tommy too, the racist.
Yeah.
No, okay, well, Hermine in a bathing suit.
Yes.
We demand that.
I'm sure that would be nice. Yeah. Do we demand it? No, I don't know about that, but
Oh, okay, politely without coercion in a libertarian society. But, I mean, who else in a bathing suit? Nadia and
Michael Ann McAllister.
Michael Ann, of course. Jeff, do you go to Nadia Hangouts?
Yeah, I was in a. She was in the hangout I was in last. It wasn't one of her hangouts, but I'll go into her hangouts. I've been in some enjoyable hangouts, like in the middle of the night, with her and some religious people.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, like I'll wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I look at my phone. Oh, these people
Jeff,
are.
put the phone down, take a piss, go back to bed, buddy.
Well, I do. Fortunately, most of the time I have the sense to do that, but every once in a while I'll get up and get on. And sometimes some good people like Jimmy Stevens, who's a pre-supper, but he's very smart, and I enjoy debating him. And I just.
Yeah, maybe that's how you plan it, but then you end up in Nadia's hangout.
Well, usually she's asleep through most of it. I like not. I don't dislike Nadia, so I don't want to.
She's great.
Okay, but fuck. Oh, are you stalking somebody, Jeff? Is that how come you're online at these hangouts?
No, it's just my irregular sleep patterns. I'm more of a napper than a sleeper, actually. I'll take a 3-hour nap and then I wake up and
hang out.
Check my email, check the hangouts. Oh, so and so's on. That could be interesting.
I mean, look at Nadia. I mean, she has like her Nadians, her disciples. I wouldn't call them stalkers. Or would you? Are they stalking her?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Like Art Norris?
Yes, they are.
I don't know. I'm not a cult of personality kind of person.
Really?
Yeah, it's just.
Ayn Rand? You're not an Ayn Randite?
No, I'm not a Randroid. I like her ideas.
Randroid.
Yeah, I'm not a Randroid at all. She had great ideas, but there were aspects of her personal life that I think were flawed, to say the least. And
Which ones?
Oh well, sleeping with your top student. Maybe that would be one.
Well, that might be just good sense right there.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, they didn't either, but.
Okay, just let me clue in Christian Hillbilly really quickly. We're talking about the Nadians, Christian. Are you there?
Yes, the who?
The Nadians. Those are disciples of Nadia. Would you count yourself among them?
I was not aware there was any such thing.
Oh, I mean, these people that are constantly, Art Norris, Fudd Mutton. I mean, people that, it seems every time you go into the hangout, they're there with her.
Well, maybe they.
Well, I'm there quite a bit too, but I'm not a disciple.
She's on all the time. If you want to hang out in the middle of the night, she's the 7-Eleven of hangouts.
Okay, well, all right. The 7-Eleven of hangouts. Who's there all the time, Christian? That you just for a fact you always go in there and that person's there.
Well, I don't always want a 7-Eleven.
I'm sorry, sir. What it all boils down to is this: I'm in there quite a bit too, but I'm not a disciple of Nadia. Right. I'm one of the ones that are trying to help her to understand the perversion of her ways and her lifestyle, so she can get corrected.
Pyong, this is my friend Christian Hillbilly. Christian, this is my friend Pyong.
Hi, Christian.
Now, Christian, okay, you don't want to. A disciple means a follower, right?
Yeah.
You would call yourself more like a viewer, like a fan of Nadia?
I call Nadia my friend, and as a friend, I tell her the truth in love that homosexuality, that transsexuality, that mutilation of her body of Nadia's body. See, I don't call Nadia a her because Nadia is not a her.
Right. But Christian, let me ask you this:
respect for him, I do not call Nadia a him. I simply call Nadia Nadia. Now, here's the deal. Nadia is a man.
Right.
Mutilation of his body will do nothing to change that.
Right, Christian. Christian, but you just don't want anything to change, right?
Now, Pat Robertson says otherwise. He says that if that's your orientation, there's nothing wrong with it, and that's not as bad as.
Robertson wrote which books of the Bible?
Yeah,
Jeff. Christian. And I'll tell you what, if Pat Robertson stood in between Jeff...
I think he wrote the book of 700. Is that not in the Bible?
No, that's only in the Catholic Bible.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, if Pat Robertson stood in front of Jeff Keller and his Libertarian Utopia, Jeff Keller would slit his fucking throat in a heartbeat. So he doesn't give a shit about fat rabbits.
I don't know who Jeff
I
Miller is.
don't.
I don't rightly care. But the point is this. The truth is the truth. And if you truly care about somebody, you tell them the truth in love. And I've told Nadia this over and over again. It's not her hardware that's a problem.
It's her software.
Software.
Right.
Because
I've heard that
she has been molested, abused, raped, or Nadia has been molested, abused, raped, and that requires counseling, psychological therapy, psychiatry, not mutilation of the genitalia.
Right, but let me ask you this, Christian. You don't want anything to change, right? I mean, you still want to go to sleep tonight and wake up to Nadia being Nadia. You don't want to wake up to Arnold Schwarzenegger Nadia.
No, I want to wake up to Nadia being the Nadia that God created Nadia to be.
Right, that's a very good point, Christian. So, I mean, this is in God's plan.
And you know what? What Nadia is right now is not that Nadia.
Oh, okay.
But God can't make mistakes, right? So this is all part of the plan.
Aha! See, this is where you're a little bit ignorant there, Pong. Again, God does not make mistakes.
I've told him a lot of times.
Humans to make mistakes.
Ah, I see.
Okay, describe to me, Christian, what Nadia is supposed to be, please.
Nadia is supposed to be a man.
Okay, well, I mean,
if you check out Nadia's chromosomes, you find that Nadia is a man. Nadia is attempting to make Nadia's self something that Nadia is not.
Okay, she would have a beard, muscles, what?
Nadia needs to be Nadia is not even his name.
Right.
Okay, so Nadia needs to go back to what Nadia was designed to be.
Okay.
Nadia was designed to be a male. Nadia should return to that original design, repent of the sinful nature, forgive those who have wronged Nadia, and move on with life.
Okay, where do you think Nadia got this idea? That
same place everybody else gets ideas like that?
A female.
Satan?
Oh, Satan.
Is it Satan?
No, not necessarily Satan. But what ends up happening is when young boys, young men, get abused by other men,
okay,
homosexuals, then they take on this feeling that either they brought it on themselves or they did something to deserve that abuse.
Okay.
Nadia has taken that to heart.
Very
Now
good.
Nadia thinks because of that, Nadia needs to change her genitalia because, oh, by the way, I look like a woman and I need to have the parts of a woman. Nadia does not need that. Nadia needs therapy and counseling to understand that Nadia's problems are mental, not physical.
Okay, very good. Christian, let me leave that there. Let me ask Tommy. Tommy, does this make sense to you? Christian's analysis of what ails Nadia?
Yeah, I think I would agree with most of that.
Okay, well, what parts? I mean, that she, like you said, it was the mind. Christian is saying it's culturally, right? That she was, coerced by other males to be the woman.
Well, I give that example too. Like if you're in your youth and you get pressured by somebody else and you decide, well, if you do it enough times, it could happen that you could learn to like it or think that you like it. And then
and if I could talk just for a second, something was said wrong. I never said that it is strictly in Nadia's mind. I said Nadia was abused.
That's what I told Tommy. That you said it was
physical abuse. You've got rape. These are traumatic things that happen, and the brain and the mind try and work itself around trying to fit why that happened. And even though, I'll tell you another example, will be kids in divorce. Kids have nothing to do with why their parents get divorced, but they will turn it around to where it's their fault. Why is that? Because that is the way that we as human beings think, that somehow we did something wrong. Nadia did nothing wrong to deserve the physical and mental abuse that Nadia had to endure.
Hey,
but
Christian,
now Nadia's mind is saying, okay, now because this happened, I must deserve this, so now I must mutilate myself.
Okay.
Now that is what I'm saying.
Just a quick question. So you're saying that gay people are made gay because of some traumatic
There is no
event?
such thing as gay people. they are homosexual.
Okay, homosexual people are made by homosexual by some traumatic event?
90% of them, yes.
Okay.
Okay, Tommy.
Yeah.
Christian's right.
I don't know about 90%. I think there is.
Yeah, where'd you get that 90% number?
I think there's an
I'm curious
environmental factor, and a lot. I think people come out, or a lot of kids seem to come out, where you're hearing more and more that kids are coming out that they think if they're a boy, they want to be a girl. You're hearing that a lot, and you're seeing a lot more. It seems like people that are tuning into the gay lifestyle. So I think there's something environmental about it that's acting on the
like a chemical that they're eating.
Right. I think it's the chemical environment we're in that may cause a dysfunction, a brain dysfunction.
I agree it's environmental to a degree,
How
and
many
that
people-
parents don't stand up and act like adults. They don't act like the male and female, the husband and father, the mother and the wife that they should. And then so now these children have no role models, and then they get to school and they're taught, oh, by the way, you can be whatever it is you choose to be. I'm sorry, but pardon my French, that's a load of bull crap.
Yeah,
It's
Christian,
from a-
this sort of philosophy has been around just lately. Be what you want to be, as far as your sexuality.
Be right back. I need to reload my coffee.
Okay,
Right. I
go
love
ahead.
you, Christian. Not in a gay way, though.
Platonically. Okay, Tommy, our society is just too permissive nowadays, right? We need to go back to where we used to be.
Well, as I was saying earlier, it is all about it's kind of a selfish mentality. It's all about what you want, what feels good. Screw morals, screw what the truth is, screw anything that could that's been considered alternative or immoral. So yeah, I think it is. It's a society. It's all about me. It's all about me.
Me. But you would prefer a freedom society, right? Like the libertarian.
Well, there's two different issues. There's one is the law, and then there's morals. I struggle with balancing them both because I think what's legal is different than what's moral, and it's unfortunate that the moral aspect of humanity is kind of tanking. The legality is kind of tagging along with that, and allowing some of this moral decline to manifest, if you know what I mean. So they're kind of going to So it's.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Pyong?
Nope. Go ahead, Tommy.
Go ahead, Tommy.
No, sure don't. I'm done.
But yeah, I think it's a fine line, or it's a difficult line between legality of certain actions. Because as a Christian, I mean, I have my opinions and my way of living my life. But in America, I believe in freedom. I believe people should be able to live out their dream, whatever that is. But
yeah, Tommy, that's kind of what I would ask you. If something is a law, if it's illegal to do some of these things, then to me that negates virtue. That you're just forcing people to act in a certain way, and to me a proper virtue, and I'm not saying what you're actually prescribing is virtuous or not, but if it is, it should not be forced by law, correct?
Yeah.
Or
Can I ask you a question?
differently?
May I ask you a question,
Yeah,
Jeff? Do we not legislate morality on the people of this nation?
I'm sorry, your audio dropped out a little bit. Do we not legislate?
Do we
what?
not legislate morality on the people of this nation?
We do. I don't think that.
Exactly.
I don't think that.
And let me go ahead and
Well,
point
hold
something
on.
out why I asked that question.
Well, Christy, go ahead and let Jeff respond. Just
Yeah, hang on a second. I asked you a yes no question. Let me point out why I asked it. The point is
think
this, we do legislate morality for the betterment and the survival of our culture and our society.
Right.
Natural traditional marriage is at the foundation of our very society. That is why it is the way it is.
Well, not really. There's no mention of marriage at all in the Constitution.
Right. I'm sorry.
Actually, it says we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights.
Okay.
Bullshit, Christian. Next.
And these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life comes from heterosexual marriage.
Okay. Okay, so you finished. So Jeff wanted to say something.
So my original.
Jeff, you have my permission to speak.
Thank you. So my original point was, virtue is something that's voluntary. So if you make a law against something that is evil, that and you force people not to do it, they're not going to become virtuous just because there's some law that says they can't do X, Y, or Z, or that
Does
they
that matter if we're trying to keep people from murdering one another? Does that matter if we're trying to keep the family at the center of our society foundation? No, it doesn't. Whether they want to be virtuous or not, I could care less. The fact is we need children to be protected by the natural, traditional family. One man with one woman, loving and committed to each other and loving and committed to that next generation. That's what our entire society is built upon.
I have a question for Hillbilly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I agree with you with everything, and I agree with pretty much everything you've been saying. But just to play devil's advocate, would you, if it were up to you, would you outlaw legally cheating on your wife and sleeping with multiple people?
Absolutely.
You would?
Absolutely.
Gambling too?
You know what? The very first problem that happened with the destruction of the family was no-fault divorce. If you want to go out and you get married and then you go out and sleep with another person, you should lose your shirt in a court battle. You should lose everything that you got. Because, again, it's important to stay the course with the wife you have chosen. So you know what? And it goes back to what you were talking about, Tommy, about the self-centered nature of these sexual perversions. Homosexuality is one of them. Adultery is another one of them. Pedophilia is another one of them. It's all about the self-centered act, whatever pleases the person engaging in that particular sexual perversion.
Christian, what happens if your wife hires somebody to kill you?
Do what?
What happens if your wife hires somebody to kill you?
I kill him and then beat the crap out of her.
Oh, I see.
That's wife beaters. Hey, he is the Christian hillbilly.
No, seriously. If my wife was to hire somebody to kill me, she'd probably ask me to do it because I'm about the only one that could.
So your wife would hire you to kill you?
Yeah, she would do that.
Okay, look, we understand that we have to protect the children, right, Christian? And this marriage equality stuff is just flies.
Marriage equality. Everybody already has marriage equality.
Oh,
no, what homosexuals are asking for is special rights to marry based upon who they choose to have sex with. Now, if we allow two men, to go ahead and get married and call that marriage, and now we've got homosexual marriage going on, and now we got two women, what's to stop it from being 3 women and 2 men? What's to stop it from being 3 women, 2 women,
three women and 2 men could be a family unit?
You've got no foundation on which to stop. The foundation is God's word.
So what if there's a family unit that's 3 women and 1 man? Who cares?
In the beginning, God created them male and female.
You arrived at this through your church.
But your church can say
no, I arrived at this through God's holy word.
But who cares if a household is 3 women and 2 men or whatever? Who cares?
Or like 4 women and
adults.
You know what happens if you have something other than the biblical standard of marriage? Your children, the children that are involved in that situation, are much more likely to abuse drugs, alcohol, sex,
which are
all
illegal.
These other problems.
Okay.
Now,
all right. So
hang on a second. Can children come out of those situations and be somewhat normal? Sure. But is that the norm?
Where are you getting your data?
As being the best way to raise children? Heck no.
Where are you getting your data that people in a same-sex household really? Do you have data to shows that they're more prone to addiction?
Ever heard of the American Family Association?
Probably.
Actually, I have. Yes, I know exactly what that is.
Probably I have.
You ever heard of any of those associations that go into the prisons and talk to the prisoners? I've done that. I've been into the jails before and talked to prisoners. Do you know that 90%
We're not talking about prisoners. We're talking about
in there come from a single parent family. And when you're talking about homosexual relations, you are talking about
that's not what a single family is. That's a non-sexual relationship.
You have one parent and you have another person that's hanging around trying to play parent.
In the Bible, didn't Lot fuck his 2 daughters?
What does that got to do with the price of rice in Albegoria?
You said biblical family sexual relations. So
yeah,
does that mean it's okay to fuck my daughters?
Moses had more than one wife. David had more than one wife. Solomon, the smartest man on the planet that ever has lived, had more than 200 wives. And what happened to them? They were all dead.
Abraham had 67.
God created man and woman. One man for one woman.
I'm liking this prison religion you're pushing.
And loving and committed to the next generation.
Okay.
Game over, and the win goes to Christian Hillbilly.
Well, I would give you this. Christian definitely efforted the most during that exchange. All
if
right.
volume is an argument, he won.
Here's a good point. Tommy, all right. Are you for marriage equality or against it, please?
No, I'm not. I'm not for gay marriage, if that's what you're asking.
You're not for gay marriage?
No.
Because you believe in freedom.
I believe in freedom, but I think, kind of like what Christian Hillbilly was saying, you know, I think society should legislate to some degree morality, because if they don't, society is going to go, you know, deeper into immorality, and when that happens, societies have a way of falling apart. So, yeah, it's condoning it. And what's irritating is they're equating it to, they're saying that 2 men being together equates to a woman and a man being together. And I'm offended by that, because it's basically, in my opinion, it's contaminating.
But you don't have to live with a man. Why does that affect you?
I'm just saying it's contaminating what is pure, wholesome, and natural.
Okay,
by equating it to something else.
According to your worldview.
Right. I don't understand why you can't have your own version of marriage.
Okay,
No.
separate but equal, right? Okay, Tommy, you've learned the basis of this, you know, fact that, you know, a same-sex union is not as valid as a hetero union because the Bible?
Well, yeah. The Bible is the ultimate authority, but I think common sense backs it up. I think
common sense.
I think you know, the history of society backs it up. Why did society, you know, they've given couples, man and woman marriages, they've given them tax breaks forever to encourage that union, to encourage a man and woman come together to have kids, and they give them tax breaks for that reason. They know that that is the healthy way for societies to grow and build and be healthy spiritually.
I don't think the tax code is a really reliable source of morality.
I'm just saying that was my
Tommy, I have to directly contradict your point there. It depends on which tax bracket you're in. If you're a very poor person, you are not subsidized to be married.
Yeah, there is a marriage penalty in some brackets, right?
Well, I'm just saying, everything else being equal, two single people are not going to get the same benefits that a married couple would.
That's exactly right. Because again, when you have children,
no, I have to. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Christian.
Pardon me, Tom. Hey,
thank
Tom,
you, Christian.
Put
Tom,
your back on,
Tommy, that is exactly what I just said. The very poor people are not subsidized to be married. As a matter of fact,
whether
if they are married, they'll suffer a penalty.
It is in the best interest of our children and our society.
We know that, Christian. That's where you stand.
He was talking the whole time.
Yeah, if you're very poor, you are actually penalized for getting married. You could, for example, let's say somebody's on SSI, okay, not SSDI, but SSI. If somebody's on SSI, and they're single and they get married to somebody, their assets are combined and they may lose their benefit. That's a disincentive to get married. Truly. I just want you to realize that.
And what would that be there, sir?
The tax code is evil.
What would that be for the SSI?
Now, Chris,
you know what? Yes, it's wrong.
Jesus.
Does that come into play with children? No, it does not.
Love Jesus. But I'm addressing Tommy's point.
And I'm addressing your point. 64 and a half, you're not having very many children.
No.
Please, Christian, let John finish. Go ahead, John.
I ain't going to let nobody finish if he's talking wrong stuff.
Loud noises.
Excuse me, Christian, you're going to have to learn to let people talk wrong.
Tommy, he's on your team, buddy. That's why you're losing.
Yeah, if he's talking wrong, the truth will.
I can't debate the tax code. I'll give you that though. So if there's a particular instance where the tax code, penalizes or doesn't incentivize marriage, then I'll give you that.
Here's what it boils down to with regard to the sovereignty. It's property interests. I mean, if you don't think it's right for your church to marry two gay people, that's fine.
Yeah,
it's between you and your church.
No.
You say that now, but
you
say that now.
Hell no, it is not.
Hell no, it ain't. I don't want anybody's.
It's not a federal decision. People think it's some kind of federal decision. The states are the ones that should be making these decisions, and when they do, the federal government comes in and overrides them. That's completely wrong. That's not the way our system was set up. So now we're going to have an amendment to the Constitution to define marriage as one man and one woman.
Yes, you would require that.
Well, that is federal overreach too, don't you think?
Oh no, federal overreach is taking the power out of the state's hands where it belongs.
So now you want more federal overreach for the federal government to
No, sir. Again, when you take the states and the majority of the states vote for a particular amendment to the Constitution, that amendment is ratified and becomes law, federal law, for all states to recognize.
Right. And you would be opposed to that in the case of...
No, sir. I would not be opposed in that because of all the states that have voted for natural traditional marriage, there has been a landslide victory. And every single time, these black-robed so-called judges, they come in and legislate from the bench. They make up the law from the bench. They're not supposed to do that. They come in and they change. They revoke the will of the people.
Okay, I think I agree with you on this point, actually.
I knew that! I'm like killers going on your team!
No, I mean, in terms of the way the constitutional structure is, you're correct. If the state laws if the state passes these crazy laws, then yes, the federal government has no authority to dictate marriage laws and stuff like that, in my judgment.
I believe gay people should be allowed to be as miserable as as regular people should be miserable.
I concur too, Eric.
Well, there's that.
Homosexuals already have the same rights as heterosexuals.
That's not true.
Find somebody of the opposite sex just like I can.
But the reason
when are we going to accept that we're all here on the planet?
Not the individual pervert who wants to have sex with somebody of the same sex.
But the reason the government got involved in marriage to begin with was racial. It was to keep the racists from intermarrying. That's why
the government got involved with
blood
marriage
tests and all this.
The women were protected, that the children were protected. Do you not know anything there, Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff, see? That's what happens. You go on a Hillbillies team, you're ready for the razor, buddy.
Do I not know anything? No. There were other reasons? That's
Look, it's all property interests as far as the federal government is only
part of it, but the blood test thing, that has to do with race.
No, I thought it was...
It's all property interest, dude. It's all what you're going to get, and that's all property interest.
Yeah, it's a set of property. It's a there's no reason why that couldn't be, just a property, a particular template for this kind of a household arrangement, It doesn't have to be about your race and your sexuality. It's just a household arrangement whereby people, if somebody dies, this happens, and so forth.
Christian, just a quick question, Jeff. Christian, you are a teabagger, right?
Please.
Now that is a derogatory term.
Why?
Because he might be a member of the Tea Party, which I think Jeff Keller would be described as well.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, you're a teabagger.
No,
And it's
Sure you are, Jeff.
but a Tea Partier, a person who is independently minded, is not the same as somebody who hangs their nuts on somebody's head.
Oh my God! Christian, are you a part of it?
I went to one of the first tea parties, and I was totally
They told you.
appalled, and it was pro-war. It was horrible. I said I'm not in any way a part of this movement.
But that's not why they were.
Where's that good old-fashioned nationalism in you, Jeff?
That's the Dick Army thing.
Jeff, it was fiscal. That was it was for limited government. That was the original.
But it was anti-immigration. It was anti a lot of things.
Yeah, it morphed into that, but that was not the original.
That's why I said I'm out. I'm not part of this.
It was originally just to be for a small government and to get them out of our
I think it was
lives.
actually originally Ron Paul's idea.
Ron Paul?
Right,
But
so he's not a conservative.
And that's why I went to it, and then I went to it, and it was all about pro-war, anti-immigration, and all that. And I said, okay, check, please. I'm out of here.
Well, let me ask you guys what you think about this. I'm going to say something. You tell me what you guys think about this, Tommy and Jeff. So Ron Paul got it going, and they realized, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of support there, and so the GOP. The status quo Republicans got behind it. Dick Armey came in. They tried to apply the Republican logistical system to it, and that's when it fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that Ron Paul thought it was a big moneymaker, but it was an outgrowth of his campaign. And yes, he was a beneficiary of it, but I don't think it was necessarily a cynical grab for money. It was support for his ideas, which were pretty formidable. The amount of funds that were raised at the grassroots for him.
But you understand, Jeff. Okay, Christian, do you even care about that, or are you just? I mean, what do you care about politically, please?
Politically,
yes.
I care about life. I care about the family, and I care about freedom.
That's the level that
once you look at it, that's what we all should have. We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights.
Guns.
And those include life, liberty,
and gay marriage.
Pursuit of happiness.
Okay, Christian, are you a teabagger? Yes or no, please.
I have no idea what a teabagger is, sir, so I cannot answer that.
There's your problem, Jeff, with the entire libertarian movement, that you cannot communicate with people like Christian.
Do you want Jesse?
You can't call them teabaggers.
Do you want Jesse Ventura for president?
Jesse Ventura.
Why would I want a wrestler for president?
He's a Tea Party candidate. He's a Tea Party candidate, isn't he?
I would not know because
I'm not a Tea Partier. I'm not part of this thing. So.
Well, okay. Which politicians do you like, Christian? Just so we can get a basis.
I like the ones that are pro-life, pro-family, and pro-liberty.
That's all they got to say, and then they got your vote.
Pretty much.
And pro-God.
What's this black guy? The doctor.
Ben Carson.
Oh, Herman Cain.
Carson. I like Ben Carson. I think he should be the next president.
Good. Now, what if Ben Carson said he was an atheist?
Well, if he was an atheist and still held those same views, pro-life, pro-family, and pro-liberty, I'd still vote for him.
Oh,
okay. What do you think of that, Tommy? Makes sense.
Well, I would too. It's values. It's all about values. I would vote for a gay person.
I don't
atheist.
vote party. I vote values.
Did you support Ron Paul? Just curious.
Ron Paul is not socially conservative. Wasn't he pro-choice?
He was pro-abortion, pro-death.
No, he's pro-life. Ron Paul is not a pro. He just said that it was not proper for the federal government to make those decisions. That's a state decision. But
And he
no,
flip-flopped back and forth. At one point, he said he was
he didn't. Ron
pro-choice.
Paul does not.
Another time, he said he was pro-life, and then another time he comes back and says, "No, it's a woman's right." So
No,
he had real stance on the subject.
He did not say that. He said it was a state. He said he's totally pro-life. He's always been, and I disagree with him on that position.
Reason Jeff's saying that Ron Paul said it was a state issue, Christian. The reason he said it was a state's issue was because that's how they could get around Roe v. Wade.
Right. He didn't think that the federal government had the authority
anyway, because again, that the woman who was involved in Roe v. Wade is now actually fighting against abortion.
Yes, I know that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, listen, Christian.
Yes.
The reason Roe v. Wade matters is because the United States has started... Settle down. Hey,
is the Christ. He is the Messiah. He is the one and true, the only God of creation, the God of salvation.
Pump the brakes there, Christian. The reason why Roe v. Wade... Whoa. The reason why...
You got me?
Whoa. The reason why Roe v. Wade still matters. Whoa. Pound. Hey, Pound. Pound. You hear me? Pound. You got me? Pound. Look.
Pound.
Wait, Christian, just a second. Christian, just wait. Go ahead, John.
The reason why Roe v. Wade still matters is because in the United States we have stare decisis. Okay, your turn.
Go ahead, Kirsten.
Wow.
I'm done.
Can you explain what stare? I've heard that. I forget what it is. Stare decisis.
We have a system that is based upon precedent.
Right. Okay. So, that's the precedent thing. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Stare decisis. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it means. Yeah. We have a system based on precedent. So that's why Roe v. Wade still matters. And
please explain to the class.
Precedent is. The
explain to the class, John.
If it's not a baby, then you ain't pregnant. So again, it's a baby at the moment of conception. That would be precedent.
Okay, Christian, come with me for a second.
Nope.
When
there you go.
When Ron Paul said
never heard of
abortion. Abortion should be a states' rights issue. What he was recommending was that the federal legislators throw it back to the states so that the states could make individual decisions and take the power away from the federal government, which would undercut
those black-robed judicial oligarchy came in and just wiped all that out. They said, no, we don't care what the people think. We're going to make our own decisions because we need to take care of these people because they're not intelligent enough to take care of themselves.
So Ron Paul. Okay.
I don't know about Ron Paul. I'm just telling you.
I'm sorry,
traditional.
But maybe you don't. But Ron Paul was both a. He was pro-life. He was pro-constitution. And this is where he came, and you don't even know anything about him.
I think it was.
I think about Ron Paul. The little I did know about it, I've already said.
And he was. Yes, he gave birth to 4,000 babies.
So it's saying
so proud of him.
Pro-life is.
I bet he's got a heck of a college
ridiculous.
bill.
I mean, you talk about what you've done for the pro-life movement and what Ron Paul has done for the pro-life movement. He birthed 4,000 babies. What the fuck have you done?
You don't even know about him, and you're.
Oh, I know some about him. I mean,
there's things about him that frustrate me.
I don't know where you got that. I simply told you what I knew.
Anyway,
which wasn't much. Anyway.
Now you want to talk about the Bible. You want to talk about the truth. You want to talk about history and why it's important that we protect the most helpless in our society. Well, then we can go to town, buddy, and I can school you exactly on how that's supposed to work.
I'll bet you can.
Okay, well, let's move away from America and just go to the global outlook, to the New World Order. Would you say, Christian, we're in a New World Order?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The New World Order is an attempt to have a one world government laying
we
down.
ain't there yet.
Oh, well, do you see us going in that direction?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. They don't preach this. They don't preach this in your church that we're like moving towards, what it says in the Book of Revelation with the Antichrist.
No, I'm actually doing a study on the Book of Revelation right now, and I ain't heard nothing like that.
Have you ever read it before?
What?
The Book of Revelation.
Yes, many times.
Okay, and you've never heard of the one world government?
Oh, yes. Have I heard that alluded to? Have I seen that on different television shows like
Right.
Left Behind and
He's
things
probably
like that?
not that concerned about it.
Yes, but that's really has nothing to do with the real issue.
Okay,
Well-
what is the real issue in Revelation?
The real issue in Revelation is that God has made a way, and there is that one way. Once he actually raptures the church, there still will be a limited amount of time for a certain amount of people to accept God before the final judgment.
Okay, so...
excuse me, my wife is hollering for me. I'll be back.
All right, well, too bad. Well, what do you guys think? It makes sense? One world government? Things would be a lot easier.
Like giving a monopoly of force again on the whole world.
More centralized power, Jeff.
Oh God,
can't
no.
hurt.
No, no, of course it can't.
Okay, so the Bible was right in predicting, one world government. That tendency of people to get together under one umbrella.
I'm not a biblical scholar, but a one world government is an abhorrent.
That story that you're talking about, Bunto, that's the mark of the beast, right? They'll all have to have the mark of the beast on them to
simplify our economy.
Stuff.
Okay.
What would you think?
All right. First of all, can I jump in real quick, if you don't mind?
Eric, we can barely hear you. Go ahead and try.
I said, can I jump in real quick, if you don't mind?
Go ahead.
All right. As far as the mark of the beast, right? It says it's the name of a man, and it's got a number of a man, right? And
I don't know. You tell us.
And his number is 666. And it says, without this, you cannot buy or sell. All right, first of all, back in the day, they only had coins, and Caesar or Caesar Vero was on their money, right? So what they were saying was, well, I guess in the prophecy was that they was coming out with the dollar bill. And as you can see, the dollar bill got a man's name on it, and it's got his number. Like George Washington is number 1. Lincoln is number 5. And without these dollar bills, you cannot buy or sell. So you already pretty much have the paper part of that type of prophecy. But this prophecy runs deep. It's been running deep for a long time, and it's predicted from the book. It's not that we have a new world order. It's like they read the same Bible that we read, and that's where they get the stuff from.
They're trying to fulfill prophecy.
Yeah, because it can't be fulfilled without us doing it.
Okay, Jeff. When people start saying that that there's some validity to the Bible viewpoint of the way our government should be run, I mean, do you object to it instinctually?
Yeah, I mean, I think the role of government is what is the proper use of force?
Not so much making Bible prophecy.
If somebody wants to make Bible prophecy arguments, they should be allowed to do that, but they should only be allowed to persuade other people. Government is about what is the proper use of force, and in my view, it's not about persuading people about what they should do morally. It's about when is it proper to use force? Is it proper? And in my view, it's only in self-defense. So if they want to make those arguments within a political framework, they can, but they have to persuade people. They can't use force.
Would you ever find yourself aligned with Christians in being anti-centralized government?
Yes, I'm aligned with many Christians who are against anti-centralized government.
Fuck
But you
yeah,
know,
he is. he wants a rescinding of the 10th Amendment, just like Christian Hillbilly does.
so, Jeff,
No, I want enforcement of the 10th Amendment
Oh,
and the
you
9th
don't.
Amendment too, not rescinding of it.
don't you want to have your philosophies, be on the same page instead of just, their reasons why they want, to get rid of Obama, because he's the Antichrist?
How many antichrists have we had? That's what I want to see
I
inside my
don't.
mind.
It's not my
Hitler was
position
an
that
antichrist.
Obama's the Antichrist.
Just because he's black, ain't it?
Ronald Reagan was an antichrist because he had 6 letters in his name. It's just like they've been planning forever, man. Come on, it ain't nothing but a codex book, and they playing the code real well, and some of us is buying into it, as opposed to sticking to ourselves and being close to our family and showing love. We worrying about what codes they putting out, as opposed to refashioning the code for ourselves and put a love code out in the atmosphere and change all of this stuff.
So
Makes sense to you, Jeff?
my only interest is what is the proper role of government, if any, and that is what is the proper use of force. And the proper use of force is to defend yourself against others who might initiate it against you. And so any of these are, if Christian wants to talk about what a family should be and whether it should be a man and a woman or 2 men and a woman or 3 men and a woman, I don't know. But as long as it's peaceful, I don't really care. So that's all government, and I think those things, that aspect of government would be best handled privately. But that's my only interest, is what's the proper role of government, and I don't think it's to tell people what kind of families they should have or what kind of associations they should have. That should be voluntary. That's peaceful. There's nothing inherently unpeaceful about how people organize or which people want to interact with other people in whatever ways. And if religious
Yeah.
want to say that that these sexual practices shouldn't. You'd be better off spiritually if you wouldn't engage in those practices. That's fine, but force should not be employed to say whether or not people should do those things. You should be able to persuade them. That's all.
Pyong, don't you think, the way that Jeff describes, his belief in non, peaceful means, that it sort of aligns itself with the Christian worldview? As far as,
Yes,
running...
but there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's all about cooperating and being friends with each other, so that's fine.
Yeah, I'm for anything that's
peaceful. He's the waffle in the Waffle House. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Waffles and chicken.
I've seen some waffles, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, you got to admit, when I roared at what's his fuck because of Ron Paul, you loved it, baby.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So sometimes you got to roar.
Which comes first, atheism or libertarianism, please?
No, peaceful interaction is first. So I would say.
Okay, so they're separate from either philosophy or.
Yeah, you can't really have philosophical discourse without some framework of peace and non-coercion. It's about persuasion. It's not about coercion. So I don't think you can really talk about philosophical ideas. I don't think epistemologically they're. I think atheism precedes that epistemologically, but in the sense of debate, you have to have a peaceful framework by which to debate other people. So, in that sense, I would say peace and
peace, love, and understanding. Anyone?
Peace is before those ideas. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have to say this. I think I will cap the hangout on that note. I'd like to thank all our participants here, and especially the interviewee, Tommy Hall.
Wait.
Y'all have a great
What was this
weekend. A great week. Take care, y'all. Happy St. Patrick's Day too.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, and remember, we remember St. Patty's Day because he drove out all the snakes from Ireland, you know.
You know. Have a good night. Take care.